Brian Harvey meets Ian Puddick, right?
He tells it how it is, and some people don't like it, but you know what I mean? There's more to it than you just fucking sponsoring him a camera. So, and he said, we'll come up our office Friday, we can sit down and talk. I said, yeah, we'll be civilised, isn't it? We sit down and be civilised. That's all I'm doing here, and sticking up for my friends, you know what I mean? I said, sometimes he is a bit comedic and we all go back and forth at each other, but at the end of the day, we all go last fucking level.
Yeah.
So, he just sit down and clear the air.
Yeah.
Yeah?
We can't just pulling in that.
This is this is, part of me thinks this could be weird and fake, like, has Puddick got to his mate? No, I don't want to get too crazy on it, right? But this is exactly how I'd expect shit to go down, like, in your borough, when one of the days you just see him and you're like, right, yeah, you're not pulling out of this petrol station, I'm having a word with you, and, like, you know, just tip off Brian, and, like, then it's all of a sudden, let's all go and meet Ian Puddick. Like, that shit would go down like that, yeah.
Into the thing now.
Can you see him? Did you see him?
No, I can't see him yet.
What colour's the van?
I'll recognise the van when I see it.
He's got a Ghostbusters thing on. He must have got to the little roundabout at Sainsbury's. You might have fucking missed him.
I'm here.
Do you know what I like about this as well, is I like the way his mate has, like, called him and he's into it, and Brian's, like, jumped in the car and is straight on it. Like, I like that energy.
I'm here at the roundabout now. He's not in the queue. Yeah, round here. Round here. I'm by the garage.
He's in the petrol station.
He's in the garage. Stop.
This is going to sound bad. If it was me, I might have pulled in through the do not enter side and blocked off the exit.
There's a bike behind me.
Sorry, mate. Sorry.
He's got the camera rolling, hasn't he? So.
Right, I'm here. Leak Busters is here.
Leakbusters.net. What's this? Why is his car dressed like that? Ian Puddick's car looks like a Ghostbusters car with him sitting on the toilet. What does it say? Boiler specialists. He's a boiler specialist. Am I tripping? What the hell is this? It's a fake plumbing company.
Alright, yeah, you can fill up.
Then we'll pull over and have a chat. But you're still welcome to come off. Well, you're welcome to
We might as well just have a quick chat now, Ian. Do you know what I mean? It's not going to take long.
That's right.
Yeah?
Let me fill up and then...
Alright.
Let me fill up.
Right, so I've managed to run into him.
Like, he wasn't able to get out the drive, was he? Like, you know, he wasn't able to just bail with the car because he needs petrol, plus he's locked in. So I wonder if he would have driven off in a different situation. Like,
Gonna see.
it's weird because isn't Ian Puddick the one harassing Brian? So wouldn't it be the opposite way around? Wouldn't it be considered, like, you know, wouldn't you expect Brian to be somewhere and Ian Puddick to chase him down? But, like, isn't this working the other way around? Like, it's very strange, isn't it? Cover for covering up leaks, surveillance. Is that what that is? You'd have a surveillance van, but you'd dress it up like the fucking Ghostbusters thing, so it didn't look so obvious. But it looks really fucking weird because it's like it's not a van, it's an estate car, and it looks strange and distinctive. Like, you'd want, like, it's such a really bad choice. Like, first of all, you want a transit. First of all, you want a transit van, right? You know, just like a bog standard transit van, Ford Transit, and you just want it to look like that. Like, change the name District Plumbing to, like, Hounslow Plumbing or Johnson's Plumbing or whatever the fuck, and just have a generic thing of taps. Like, that's really exactly what it is. That's the best one for it. Maybe the issue with the transit van, depending on what you're doing, like, there's two other benefits, which is that you can pack out the back with kit. You can have, you know, surveillance. You've got a reason for having locks on the door because it's a plumbing van. Like, there's all sorts of. But on the negative, you're not making any quick getaways or going anywhere quick. But it looks like a services van, yeah. So if you saw that and it was parked up somewhere and you went past it, and I asked you to describe it and, you know, draw it all out and everything, you'd find, oh well, it was definitely a plumbing van. I think it was blue and something like Johnson's. But, like, with what Ian Puddick's done, It's like the most distinctive Ghostbusters-y. Like, you'd even stop and look at it and think, what the fuck is this? Like, with the toilet man on the toilet and that, I'd stopped and I thought, what is this? And it made me question, what is this? So that's a really bad idea if you want to go sort of incognito. Like, it's just really weird. Watch his old vids when you get a chance. Whose videos? Brian's. I've watched a load of Brian's in the past, haven't I?
Dan, we're going to have a little chat and
Good night, Seb.
clear the air. Get this sorted out, innit, Ian? We get it sorted out. I'm going to stop recording now because I ain't going to fucking
Oh, sorry, Seb. Earlier you said throw him an email. Yeah, I will, yeah.
put you on the spot.
Not now while he's doing this.
No, I don't want to.
I know you.
Right, Ian Puddick's coming back now. He's just paid in Sainsbury's. There's his van over there, League Busters. We've managed to collar him, and me and him.
Like, I would be concerned that he's just going to fucking bail. Like, I might have closed off the... I mean, I suppose you can't close off the petrol station for everyone, can you? But, like, depending on what we're doing to him... Like, I don't know what we're supposed to be doing to him yet, but it might have been a situation where you park up and you run out and you can...
We're going to have a chat now.
Have a chat.
In his motor and talk about a few things, yeah?
Like, yeah, I'd just be like, you know, park off over there and, like, you know, don't have to... I just don't want him driving off.
I think it's like jumping in yours and we'll just sit there and chat, yeah?
Look at the front seat. It's all fully loaded up. I'm just saying I'm not lying.
All right, well, I don't know, just pull over anywhere, Ian, innit? Just pull over,
In the
just
car
pull
park?
over anywhere.
Just pull on top of it.
Yeah, you want to go over there? Yeah, go over there, I'll see you over there.
He's happy about it. Like, Brian's in a good place for this at the moment. Like, this has happened at a good time for him after he's... Like, if he's not got all the stress of the kitchen, he's feeling a bit better. Like, this is good.
So we've got Nicky here, we've got Lee here. Lee was just in Sainsbury's getting something to eat, and he said, "You're never going to guess who's here." I was like, "Who?" He was like, "Puddick." He said that Puddick, his van's parked up outside. So Ian's coming over now. I'm going to ask him a few things. Sean Atwood mocking me with a mental illness and all the rest of it. So
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying, Seb. I don't know if you're still hearing me, Seb, but I agree with what you were saying, like, you know, jump in strike while the iron's hot. But he's literally doing a live right now, talking to the audience in general, and like, he'll remember. Yes, I'll remember tomorrow. Like, you know, it'll be okay tomorrow when it's just like not on the live, when I've got time to think about what I want to write.
we'll just do that now and clear it up. All right.
This is going to be epic and go on for hours.
Nah, ain't going to go on for ages. All right, so can we
He's
just
still in his car. He's still considering that he might just drive off.
confirm that you bought me a Ninja recorder to film Andrew Ash?
Well,
Because listen, my problem's this.
Has he got the car? Like, has he turned off the engine?
My problem's this, yeah? You went on Sean Atwood.
Yeah.
The both of you are sitting. You both of you are sitting there mocking me.
I bought...
Right? He's not well, is he?
I can't believe he's not turned off the engine and got out of the car.
He's not well, is he? Right?
Well, I don't think
And
you
all
are,
that.
personally.
Well,
But I
obviously,
don't mean that,
'cause
yeah.
I'm on the mental health and that. But you
Yeah.
two are sitting on there mocking it like it's a joke. He's calling me E16 and all that. I mean, Sean's a prick anyway. You know what I mean? Like he's, you know, it doesn't bother me. But it's the fact that you're sitting there mocking the mental health. Listen, Ian, you need to admit a few things, right? You bought me a Ninja recorder to film Andrew Ash. Specifically, please, let's just get to the bottom of this.
You want me to say what you want to say?
No, I want you to...
Yeah, but-
look, you give Bill 500 quid. He had 500 quid in his pocket when
Never
we went
gave
down
him
to film.
£500.
Well, he said that came
I
from
never
you.
gave him £500. I bought him a Ninja. I bought two Ninjas,
You bought me a Ninja.
I bought it for Bill.
No, you didn't
Bill
buy it
asked
for
me.
Bill. Yeah,
Bill asked me.
you bought it for me.
Bill asked me.
Well, why is it on your tweets you're saying you bought it for me and I'm ungrateful?
Well, you got it. You ended up with it. So
No, you said you bought it for me, and you've also said that your role was to provide me
Yeah,
£500
right.
to film Andrew Ash.
So look at that tweet where it's what I've said. My role in
Ian,
you're asking me questions and you're not allowing me to answer.
Ian,
So-
you've already answered it on your tweet.
No.
All right, go on. I'll let you talk. You tell
Sure?
me. Yeah, go on.
Sure?
You tell me where I'm wrong. Go on.
So if you look at that tweet, and I've put my role, and I think I put it in inverted commas, my role to do whatever it was said in the tweet. Look at the previous tweet, which has been deleted. It was from.
How can I look at it if it's been deleted?
Well, no, it was from. There's a blog, the Needle blog. So it was the Needle blog, and they sent me a loaded tweet saying your role was to set you up and all this kind of stuff.
Well,
Right?
you did set me up. You did set me
But
up.
you're not allowing me to answer.
Because at the end of it,
You're not allowing me to answer.
you are answering him, but you're
not allowing me to answer. You listen.
Go on, go on.
So whoever the Needle blog is, or whoever they are, sent me a tweet accusing me of having a role to set you up. So I replied, so my role was to whatever. I don't have a role, I'm not playing games, I don't work for anybody, I'm not employed by anybody, I have my own business. So it's taking the pee out of whoever sent it.
Listen, right? If I couldn't even understand the language, if I was just watching this and they were talking Spanish, Ian Puddick is scared. Ian Puddick is worried about what Brian's doing. Like, he's parked his car, he hasn't got out of his car, he's got the door between them. He's like, like, is it because he thinks Brian might just, like, you know, think, right, fuck this, I've had enough of this, and just punch him in the face? But surely Ian Puddick's a bit bigger than Brian Harvey and might fancy himself in a Barney with him. Maybe he's worried Brian might have a weapon. You know, there's that sort of, you know, concern. He might be concerned in that way. But, like, I think he just screams guilt. And it's obvious through knowing the language that he's just trying to talk himself out of this. You know, I gave him £500 to buy a Ninja recorder, and I didn't know it was for you. I thought, officially, the man I gave the money to was this man, and, like, you know, all this bollocks. But, like, this seems like a real minor little... Like, let's say Ian Puddick says, yeah, no, I bought you a Ninja recorder. And then Brian's like, well, you did that to set me up. And he's like, I didn't. I just bought you a Ninja recorder. I didn't know what was going to go on. Like, you can go on with this circular conversation for hours, can't you? So what does it even really matter in 2024? Like, so what's he so scared about? Like, he's quite a big, chunky fellow. He's got his car there. Like, if it was me and I was having an argument with someone in the petrol station like this, like, if I was scared of them, like, physically, I might not want to get out of the car. But generally, I'd just get out of the car and we'd talk. You know, it's on camera as well, isn't it? So, like, if anything kicks off, you can, like, dance around, you can get back in your car or whatever. But, like, you know, if, like, when I say, I mean, if they pull out a knife or something, you know. But, like, he's reluctant to even get out the car. To, like, he wants this physical barrier between them. And I don't think it's directly because he thinks Brian's going to do something. It makes me wonder what it is that's going through his mind that Brian may or may not know, or doesn't, you know, there's something else going on in his mind that makes him this, like, fight or flight response. Like, maybe he suffers from anxiety, but he seems very anxious in this situation. And it's a chat with Brian Harvey in a petrol station. It's not like, you know, 6 lads have come to jump him and, like, you know, it's just one-on-one Brian asking the questions that he knows he wants to answer. And he said, it's, you know, you're not giving me a chance to answer the same old questions. Like, so if there's nothing particularly new here, why the extreme anxiety? Like, normal sense of anxiety, I kind of get it because this thing is happening, but, like, you know, it doesn't seem like the appropriate level of response from Puddick, like, in terms of anxiety, in terms of guilt. Like, feels like he's hiding something that's worse.
But you've interpreted...
Or he's worried that Brian doesn't know, or does know, worse things. And maybe there are worse things that Brian has already outlined in public that he knows. Look, you see in this body language now as well, he's blocking the camera. He's blocking, like, he wants to be aggressive. He knows he's on camera. Now, I wonder if this was in a different situation where they would have jumped out the car and just brained Brian with a weapon, you know, and that would be the end of this conversation. But he seems to want to be aggressive, but that might be a defense response to be aggressive, you know. Yeah, Brian's being calm. Brian's not showing any, like, signs of... he's a keyboard warrior. Yeah, I guess. I mean, I saw him on Sean Atwood. I didn't watch the whole thing, but I saw his, like, size and girt, you know, big tubby belly. Like, if him and Brian had a roll around, like, he might fancy himself in the fight just by principle of being, like, 3 weight classes heavier. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's a big... So I don't know where this sort of sense of... Like, it feels like he's being really intimidated here, but he's not really being that intimidated. Brian has not been that intimidating. He's allowed him to move his car, and yeah, no, okay, I'll wait, and you know, do it. Like, he's given him a lot of space. So I don't know why he's been feeling so intimidated.
That the way that you have, which is fine, but it's not right.
You bought me the Ninja, Ian. You bought me the Ninja. I've got the receipt indoors.
Yeah, I bought Bill the Ninja. And
he didn't buy it for Bill. That is the only line.
That
is the only line. Let me talk a second. That you realise that by you saying that, That is the only way for you to wriggle out.
What crime have I committed?
You set me up, Ian.
Set you up.
You set me up,
So
and
imagine-
Bill set me up.
Imagine I
Bill
said...
set me up, Ian. Bill set me up.
I don't believe that.
He took
I don't
you
believe
do
that for a
believe
minute.
that.
I don't.
You know, you do believe
No.
that. You, Ian,
Don't
you know
believe
what the truth is. Obviously, you're not. He's not going to admit it on here. He's not going to admit
But
it.
you
on
asked,
here.
would you admit something? Or I said, Bill, if I said,
Well,
Brian,
you
you
set
did...
me
Hear
up.
me out, hear me out. If I said, Brian, you did A, B, C and D, and you really hadn't done that, would you admit it? You'd never admit it.
Of course I wouldn't admit it,
Of course
but you
wouldn't.
did. You brought me an injury,
Because
Ian.
that's what you want to believe.
If you hadn't done it, would you admit it? You'd never admit it. Therefore, for me to admit it would be like, he's like, that's not, I haven't done it, therefore I'd never admit it. That's, if I hadn't done it, I would never admit it. Like, look at him squirm.
It's not what I want to
It is.
believe.
It
You
is.
bought it for me.
Okay, so let's imagine
you've
I did.
written
What
that,
crime
and
would I have
said
committed?
that, right? And then you go on Sean Atwood's and the
But we're at a funny impasse in the conversation. I feel like I need to, sometimes I feel like I wish I was there as a sort of mediator between these like conversations Brian has with certain people, because I feel like there needs to, like with Brian is very, I mean, I'd probably go about this a very similar way though, but like Brian's very straightforward and head on with this, and the man has weaseled around it. So we are just going to have a circular conversation, I guess, where he keeps denying it. So maybe there's some kind of other way to go about the conversation. I'm not sure, but you know, maybe we need to keep. It's a bit like one of those interrogations, isn't it, where you need to talk around the subject and, you know, get a bit of a big fuller statement. You know, tell me about what it was like when you bought this. Why did you, you know, and have him explain it all, and then go and pick through that and analyze what he said. Because if he's just like, if it's just like, you did this, and he says, no, I didn't. You did this, no, I didn't. You did this, no, I didn't. Then we're going to be like that for a long time. But at least Brian gets his opportunity to sort of put it to the man's face. Like, he's wanted to do this for a while, and he's doing it in a very reasonable way, I think. I just don't know if it's going to get any results here, is it? Because what's Puddick going to say? Like, he's even said it there. Well, what if I did say I'd admitted it? What are we going to... Like, he was going to go on to sort of explore that opportunity. Like, this is another interesting aspect. Ian Puddick then said, yeah, but what if I had? Like, and then he was going to go on to explore it. That is a way of him and his guilt exploring what it would be like if he confessed. And then if that goes well, and that conversation about what it would be like had he done that goes well, maybe he might say, well, you know what, you know, maybe I did, or, you know, that sort of thing might go there. But again, it's like his thought process and his body language, his speech, everything is just screaming guilt. So.
Have you taken the piss?
No, I'm
right?
sorry.
And then,
I'm sorry about
and then
that.
you put stuff out about
And
he
worried,
wasn't phone
like,
but then
I'm sorry about that. Like, he didn't raise his hands like I've not done anything wrong, but it was like, you know, placate you. And also, because he's not got out of the car, Brian is now standing up and over him. Like, he isn't like, he could just literally stand up and be taller than Brian, I think, but he's still like, he's still adopting this position of like weakness. Like,
oh no, I believe that he was. And you say that I just tell lies. I don't tell lies.
I believe you were
I
phoned.
went.
So I don't think there's any
I
dispute.
was phoned.
I don't think there's any dispute about
I was
that.
phoned taps as well.
Yeah, I don't think there's
Live
any
monitoring and
dispute.
recording.
I don't think there's any dispute about that.
Well, I think there is dispute about it because everyone's mocking it and going on like it ain't true, and it is
No, I
true.
think-
And I'm the only one that ain't been settled in the whole thing. But look, the bottom line is.
and this is interesting because I haven't watched all of the Sean Atwood interview with Ian Puddick with great gusto, but obviously Brian has, and he's gone on and done that on the internet and said those things about Brian. So now Brian's remonstrating with him. I wonder what would happen if Alan saw me in a petrol station. I wonder what Alan did. My sardines cook? Yeah, the game's just been paused. Like, you know, we just jumped onto this because, like, you know, it did for a while there. It was like, yeah, I'll just watch this whenever. But then I got a shout out, and I was like, oh my god. So I think it's cool. I think we're cool. You're all good, aren't you, in chat? Like, you're all happy, aren't you? Like, we're not having a bad stream, are we? This is a good stream, like, you know. Like, we'll watch a bit. I want to watch this video about the like, it's like big news on the Brian Harvey front, isn't it? So
You brought me in
you think Alan would citizen arrest me? Can you grab hold of me? Call me a pedo now. If he came near me, yeah, I've already registered with the police that he's like been doing all this stuff on the internet, like harassing me. Like, if he came near me,
Joe, right? You knew exactly where we was going, and you chose to leave that
I would just call the police.
out in the Sean Atwood thing because they're doing some interviews with someone. You knew it was Andrew Ash. You spoke to him yourself for 2 hours in Bill's flat,
Bill's
right
flat.
or wrong?
That's correct.
Right. So
that's
why are you interviewing Andrew Ash?
Because Bill invited me round.
Yeah, but what are you doing an interview?
Well, I
with
wasn't
him?
in there. I was just invited round to speak to him about what was happening. I mean, Bill, can I just give you an idea? Andrew Ash, you could push him and he would admit to being Yorkshire Ripper.
Yeah, because he's been paid
This
to
is
do
not
it.
well.
He's been paid to do it. Where is he now?
Not a clue.
Where's the geezer now?
I have no idea. I thought you had contact with him.
I ain't got no contact with him. I spoke to Mary Moss. She seems to be another one that's in your lot's little game. Because the way that I see
I don't
it
even know
is,
who she is.
I believe that's in your lot's little game.
I spoke to Mary Moss. She's another one that's in your lot's little gang.
Because the
Immediate smile.
way that I see it,
And then believe me expression. So, like, if I didn't speak the language, if it was just body language, I'd say that's a lie. Whatever he's saying here.
I don't know who she is.
And since I do speak the language, I'd say that's a lie. I don't know who she is either, but I don't know why he's supposed to know who she is. But his body language screams that's a lie.
I believe you're all connected. You are all connected, and you've all.
And then this hand comes again to reach over on, like, it's like casual behaviour, but it's like creating a defensive space, but also reaching out towards the camera. Like, it's an aggressive act. Like, underneath it all, he would quite like to burst out in aggression at this moment and not answer these questions. It's really interesting to me that he is answering the questions and he's not decided to simply fuck off, like, or said no comment, or I think he thinks that he can sit here and, like, sort of handle this, and that maybe, like, you know, by giving Brian answers, he will end it. Not end it, but like what is his motivation for actually doing this? For having the conversation? I suppose, like, he's in a rock and a hard place, because if he did just drive off, like, Brian's going to say more, like, it looks really bad, doesn't it? Like, Brian films him just driving off, like. Wedge is part of his little group as well, yeah, or was, yeah.
Teamed up together to set me up,
Right.
to put
So-
me away, because I've come in to do a
No
good
one
thing.
was.
Yeah, you do. You've tried, but Ian, you had me arrested.
An interesting question in 2024 would be, does this man still hold the same power, and is he still connected to these same people? Or is he sort of semi-retired? Because he's driving this fucking weird car, so that's a bit of a weird one.
You had my fucking computer
Yeah,
taken.
because you online said I was a
For a
paedophile.
year.
You asked me if I was a paedophile.
I asked you a question. I didn't say you was a paedophile.
But
I asked you a
your
question.
fans interpret that in
Yeah,
a
but
very
that's them,
different
that's
manner.
not me.
Yeah, but
That's not me. No, see now,
No.
you're dumping shit. Now you're making shit up. I've never called you a paedophile, Ian.
But-
I come along, right, to help, right, build.
It's a weird one, that is, isn't it? Because you asked me a question, and like, he's agreed that he had all his laptops taken off him as well. Like, that's a weird one.
yeah,
you
no,
was
sure,
his funder,
sure.
and when I said
This knuckle here, like, that's disrupted at some point from a fight, isn't it? This is from punching things. I don't know what he's punched, but isn't that knuckle disruption from a previous injury from having punched things? Another sign of an aggressive man, like, hiding it in some way. Or, I don't know, it could just be anything, couldn't it? But maybe.
to help, right, build. And
Yeah,
he
no,
was his
sure,
funder.
Or that just could just be a bump on his hand. Or...
When I said to him, Ian Puddick's your funder, isn't he? He went,
Blinking is stress. It's not just cognitive stress, it's stress. Like, Brian's here pointing the finger, saying the words, like, it's pure stress.
yeah, I'll put you on the phone
Yeah, no,
later.
I've not I've
And
never
then when I
done
spoke to you the first time, you start offering me telephone numbers and addresses from people's licence plates.
Yeah.
Right or wrong?
Yes, true.
Right, how are
That's
you
true.
getting things like that then?
A journalist.
A journalist?
A journalist, yeah.
So there's a dodgy journalist that's going to give you stuff
So
like
when
that.
I had all my trouble with the police, I had a fantastic journalist that helped me, that was able to get me certain information.
No, look at the way he's holding this car door, like it's his desk in front of him as well. Like, it's so weird for him to have been doing it like this in the door, like this. But it's obviously defence, isn't it? It's pure, like, create a barrier.
Journalists, people to speak to. That's true. Yeah, that's true. So, and I said to you, if you need information, if it helps you in what you're trying to do.
Ian, we both know that you don't want to help me. You had me arrested.
Yeah.
This is a really good point. Like, Brian, I like that. Instead of contradicting, like, because Ian on the facts, like, whether there was a journalist, whether there was a this, like, oh, no, I didn't, this one did. Like, that's cold, hard facts, and he can just, like, wheedle whichever way. But him saying something like, I wanted to do this, or you want, and he can say, no, you fucking didn't. And you can all tell by your behaviour. So then he's like, okay, yeah, no, I didn't. Like, that's good. Like, that's picking him out on lies that, like, illogical, can't stand. They're not, like, facts of a matter. I didn't know who she was. I did know who she was. They're like, Yeah, I think that was good that he picked him out on that. It's interesting to see he's got that funny little wristband, that little wooden... What's that from? Like a trip to Thailand or something on his wrist. What's that about?
We both know that you don't want to help me. You had me arrested.
Yeah.
I could have gone to prison.
Yeah,
you could have put me in prison. And all I've done was went down there with Bill. I didn't even want to fucking go to Holt, right? I went down there with Bill to help. I said to him, I can't really leave the house, but I went anyway. Got someone to look after my house. When I get home, my house has been turned over. Now, if I'm being honest, I believe that's to do with you and your police mates.
Insane.
It's not insane.
It's mad.
You know, you're in with people in Whitehall. You're making up, you're getting...
The smiles come back again. He went, it's insane, it's mad, and he put his head in his hands. At first he was getting away with saying it's insane, because his response to Brian is to tell him he's crazy, to gaslight him. But then the smile comes back for two reasons. Duper's delight, and also he's satisfied that he has actually gaslit him. Right.
Fucking alarms coming from...
He does have friends in Westminster, or he did. I mean, I don't know what's going on in Westminster right now, but no. I'm saying and reading from his body language that I think that moment where Brian said about friends in Westminster.
Anyway, got someone to look after my house. When I get home, my house has been turned over. Now, if I'm being honest...
Like, the poker face comes on here. Like, when I get home, my house, okay, like, just keep a straight face. Yeah?
I believe that's to do with you and your police mates.
Insane.
No, it's not, no.
It's not insane.
It's mad.
You know, you're in with people in Whitehall.
And then at this moment, he wants to hide his face. You're in with people in Whitehall. Like, Whitehall was coming out as he was hiding his face. So at first he was doing a good job with the poker face. No, it's insane. No. And then as he started to do a worse job with it, he covered himself. Like, you know, he hid his hand. He hid himself. And it's obviously a performative motion to say, oh, I can't take this anymore. It's just nonsense. But really, it's covering. It's hiding, because he was about to break out into a big smile. And you see when he removes his hands, he is smiling. Like, so that was just a moment of getting self-control back. Like, losing... Instead of having to focus on everything and having all this information coming at you with your eyes open, I just want to close my eyes and get control of my face. And then I'll come back with control of my face. And it was obviously Whitehall was being spoken at that particular moment, but I don't know if Whitehall... So maybe I'd, take that back about he's got friends in Westminster. Whatever it was here, look.
It's not insane. It's not insane.
Whatever this was, look, that's where the smile... Look, his smile starts to come.
No, you're in...
And he's stopping it there. He's like, you're mad. And you can see the tension on his face as he's stopping the smile. He looks like Johnny Vegas, doesn't he?
Went anyway. Got someone to look after my house. When I get home, my house has been turned over.
My house has been turned over. The blink, the big long blink.
Now,
so that's stress, but big long blink. Like, okay, I'm about to keep my face still.
If I'm being honest, I believe that's to do with you and your police mates.
He tried to interject as well. There's a little cheeky smile there as well. Like, it is to do, okay, so the lie that I think that Ian Puddick is trying to hide here, it was to do with him and his lie. I'm not saying it as a fact. I don't know anything. I'm just saying my body language read on it is that he's lying, and he whatever Brian said, he's on the nose, and Ian Puddick is trying to hide it.
It's not insane. It's mad. You know, you're in with people in Whitehall. You're making up. You're getting fucking alarms coming from people's phones when there's a fucking...
And again, now he's got control of his face again, hasn't he? So now his face has gone back to, taking it seriously mode.
National threat going on. Don't tell me you're a no one and that you're just a plumber. You're not. You're not.
So my background was crisis communication.
Yeah.
So I know a bit about crisis communication.
Ian Puddick has done this a number of times during this conversation. He's just repeated a cold heart. Like, my background was crisis communication, so my background was crisis communication. Like, he's not expanding on that. He's like, instead of like, he's filling the space in the statement with more words, but it's the same words as before. He did it earlier as well with like, I gave him £500 to buy the Ninja, so I gave him £500 to buy the Ninja. Like, he's like restating the same thing as if it's an expansion, and it's not. So that shows you that he doesn't want to expand upon that. In his head, he said, this one thing is a fact that everyone knows, and I'm expected now to fill the space with some more information, but I'm not going to give you any more information at all. It's a very sort of politician-y, journalistic, or more politician-y sort of way of withholding information that just felt like it should have come out there. It felt like he was about to volunteer some information, and he just didn't. So that's a real sus thing as well, isn't it?
Tell me you're a no one and that you're just a plumber. You're not. You're not.
So my background was crisis communication.
Yeah.
So I know.
And that's really bad. You know, he looks away from out as well. He's not looking. This isn't about where he's looking into his imagination or anything like that. He's looking away and out of the. Like, he's got this door in front of him. It's sort of framing the conversation. He's looking away and out, like away from it all, and shrugging his shoulders to cover his neck, in a believe me expression again. This is him, anxiety, stress, telling a lie. Like, but it's not telling a lie, is it? It's withholding whatever. You know, my background was crisis communication, so I'm not going to fucking tell you any more about this. There's just so much sus about that. That's just not good body language for this.
You're not.
So my background was crisis communication.
Yeah.
So I know a bit about crisis communication. So
And he shook his head throughout the whole of that as well. Like, so, no, we're not going there. We're not going here.
You would say, oh, how can you know about?
He's doing it again. Like,
Because that's my background as a management consultant.
Yeah, I believe that, and I believe you.
as a management consultant. Sorry, what? As a management consultant. That's my background as a management consultant. He just threw that in there out of nowhere. What's management consultancy got to do with crisis communication? And management consultancy isn't a background. It's something you do after you've had a background in management. So, like, you know, it's just like a... it's just words to fill space that you can follow around in a big circle that mean nothing.
Look, your old man was someone as well. Sorry that you lost your old man as well, by the way. And I genuinely know that.
This one was different.
Look, your old man was someone as well. Sorry that you lost.
Sorry, and he pointed at him, and there was a smile then. Like, this isn't like the same smile of as before of Jupiter's Delight, but
As a management consultant.
Yeah, I believe that, and I believe your old man was someone as well. Sorry that you lost your old man.
was it? I believe your old man was something as well.
You lost your old man as well.
And then he says, "Sorry, I lost your old man." No, thank you.
Yeah, I believe that, and I believe your old man was someone as well. Sorry that you lost your.
It was only a brief flash of a smile, wasn't it? And then he got a little bit angry.
As well. Yeah, I believe that, and I believe your old man was someone as well. Sorry that you lost.
It's quite complex. Like, I think at first there was like a sense of like self-satisfaction, not Jupiter's Delight, but like, you know, obviously thinks highly of his dad. And then Brian reminds him, like, I think he flashes into his head, I'm supposed to be angry about this, you're mentioning my father and he's dead. But then Brian immediately has said sorry about that as well. So like, he's like, no, yeah, magnanimous here, yeah. Like, and it's almost a moment where, like, this whole conversation has been about a negative, Ian Puddick negative, Brian taking control of the situation and asking him difficult questions, yeah? And he's like sitting there ready for that. Like, okay, I'm going to be answering the difficult questions from Brian Harvey, so this is going to be one of those. But then there was a moment where he was like, Brian was compassionate to him. And I think whether he's a narcissist or I don't know what it is, but like that moment, I suppose during the storm of the stress of being asked all these questions, someone offering you an olive branch of compassion, like he like flashed across the smile, you know, like flashed across him as like this is nice, that's better, that feels nicer. Mentioning my dad and saying sorry about it, but I think he kind of wants to move on from this for multiple reasons, like, so.
By the way, and I genuinely know that. I'm not just being funny with you.
No, thank you.
Well, so when does this feud end?
But I don't have a feud with you.
You do have a feud with me. You've had me
Again.
When does this feud end?
So it was interesting that Brian moved from that olive, like I literally described it as an olive branch, yeah? So from that olive branch into when does this feud end? Like, that's actually a really positive move from Brian, isn't it? It's like, we've had the conversation, I've asked you the questions, you've denied it, whatever. I've said to camera, he's going to deny it. I know he's going to deny it. So, sorry to hear about your dad, you know, when can we put this behind us? And like, his dad has died, you know, bigger picture stuff. Sorry to hear about that. Can we be grown-up men and put it behind us? Like, we're now the you know, men in the situation after the olive branch. So it's a kind of good natural segue into that offer from Brian. Yeah. So I'm surprised that Ian Puddick doesn't say, absolutely, Brian. Like, I'm sorry that we've had these problems. You know, this is an open door offer for him to just, like, he doesn't want Brian following him around and doing these questions on him. So wouldn't he just say, yeah, absolutely. When can we end this feud? I will end it now. I'm absolutely happy to end it. There's no feud on my part. If you don't want to feud, but instead he puts his head in his hands and he goes, "There's no like," as if like there's never been a feud. Therefore, I'm not going to admit there's ever been a feud. And you're doing it again, Brian. It's doing my head in. But I don't really think it's this. Like, you're a grown man, you know. You don't have to put your, oh God, he's doing it again. Like, I think again, he's smiling and he's covering his face because there's always been a feud and he has no intention of ending it. Maybe, and he's happy that Brian is sort of. I think he might see it as a sort of weakness for Brian to offer a compromise and to end it. Like, I think in the art of war, you probably don't. I don't know, like what they think about people offering compromises to end it, but I think Puddick feels like he's in a strong position there. If Brian is asking him to stop, essentially, when can we end it? Might sound to him like, "Will you stop?" And he might think, "No." Ha! And like put his head in his hands to hide the smile. The duper's delight. Of course, he's doing a feud. The duper's delight comes in, he hides the face.
But I don't have a feud with you.
But I don't have a feud with you.
Feud with me.
Oh.
You've had me arrested.
And as he takes the hands away again, he's smiling. Yeah.
When does this feud end?
But I don't have a feud with you.
You do have a feud with me. You've had me arrested. I've not had you arrested.
No, but I had you arrested because
You said you told the public I've been sectioned in 2015.
Yeah, and
you
I
should have been done for malicious.
And I apologised because it was wrong.
Yeah, but at the time,
And it was the same journalist that used to be able to give me all the information.
Do you want to tell me who that is?
Ken Daniels.
Who's Ken Daniels?
Well, just Google him. See what comes up.
Ken Daniels.
Yeah.
He's the one who gets.
I'd be very cautious about like anyone that he's throwing under the bus at this stage. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's not shown himself to be very trustworthy, has he? So all of a sudden you've got someone else to go and attack. I'd be very cautious about attacking Ken Daniels.
People's addresses and that from there.
You get all sorts of stuff in.
Yeah, alright. Alright, well look Ian, yeah, I'm going to say
But
this.
there is no conspiracy against you. Not from my perspective.
I believe there is.
Well, I'm sorry.
I believe there is because I know for a fact...
He's moved that from what Brian was saying was that he was doing... What was his words?
Sectioned in 2015. I've not had this feud end.
But I don't have a feud with you.
A feud. And he's moved it into a conspiracy against you. Like, Ian Puddick, I don't know if he understands this, but this sort of like smiling, sneering, like, you know, it reminds me of what they say about Jay Slater being in the court case, laughing at the court case, of which I can't guarantee specifically Jay Slater was the one doing that. I haven't seen the factual evidence to prove it was actually him, but it reminds me of that insofar as he is not taking like this situation. If he feels genuine remorse, and obviously he doesn't. When Brian offered him to end this feud, if he felt genuine remorse, the first thing it wouldn't be, "Oh, there's not a feud." Like, it would be, I really don't want there to be any animosity between us. Like, it would have been to take up that offer, and then afterwards to say, you know what, like, I'm doing this because there's never really been a feud, and I've always felt like this. You know, maybe to slip that in later, but it's on his chip on his shoulder to say there's no feud. But like, if there's any genuine remorse, why are you doing all this smiling and like, you know, these funny sort of like. If it was me and I was talking to him and he was saying, well, not just saying this, if he was doing those faces, it would anger me more that he's laughing during the conversation, wouldn't it? Like, obviously, I'd be able to control that. I wouldn't be like, "You're laughing at me," but like, you know, like, it would just be like, I can see in your face. You know, you're saying the words, but your face is saying it all. Like,
Tell me who that is?
Ken Daniels.
Who's Ken Daniels?
Well, just Google him. See what comes up.
oh, this was about Ken Daniels, like cocky, confident, sneering, like. So, you know, he thinks it's a funny thing he's done there to send you off on Ken Daniels.
Daniels. He's the one who gets.
And again, who's Ken Daniels? Well, just Google him, see what comes up. Like, he will only give you one piece of information. Like, he knows who Ken Daniels is. Why not say it? Why do I have to go and Google it? I've just asked you straight. Well, no, I'm not. It's one nugget. You have to do the rest. Like, and it's every time he's done it all the way through this. He's even repeated the same thing he said. Hasn't he? He said, like, yeah, we looked earlier, his repetition instead of filling the space. So
people's addresses and that from
You
there.
get all sorts of stuff, yeah.
Yeah, all right. All right, well, look, Ian, yeah, I'm going to say
But
this.
there is no conspiracy against you. Not from my perspective.
So he swifted it on, just moved it from feud to conspiracy.
I believe there is.
Well, I'm sorry.
I believe there is because I know.
And he even added, not on my side. So what does that mean? Is he trying to make Brian think that there is a conspiracy, but other people are doing it? You know, there's no conspiracy, not on my side. Like, whose side? What are you on about?
For a fact, even though you don't want to admit it, but you bought me a Ninja recorder to go and film Andrew. You'd already spoken to Andrew yourself. Look,
Right,
Ian,
hear me out,
nothing.
hear me out.
Listen,
No, you've done
nothing,
a lot of talking, you've
no,
not allowed me.
I haven't yet. I haven't. That's the.
He will never accept publicly that he bought the Ninja recorder for Brian. And I think it's because he thinks there's a court case involved if he does. So he will, like, you know, he thinks he's winning a chess game. Again, the smile. Because it came up again in conversation there and he shut it down again. Oh, but Brian, I didn't buy you the Ninja. It's like, you know, it reminds me of Question Time, where the same question gets asked of a politician again and again. And every time we're just looking for a straight yes or no answer. And they say, oh, but I was on the committee, but I was not part of the committee. And I believe there's an independent inquiry. You know, and they keep repeating the same fucking rota. Every time it comes up, he's going to say, I didn't buy the thing for you. I bought it for this man. He bought it. And that's his get out of jail free card on that. So all he knows is whenever it comes up, he presses the mental button and does a smile because like.
Thing, I don't get to say what I want to say, and I need to say this to you. In my heart, I believe you lot set me up.
Such an effort.
You set me up
for
because
what?
I could have gone to prison for about 18 years.
He literally said to him, I just want to get this off my chest and say this to you. And he's like, okay, you know, it's time for you to say your piece. And again, when he says it, he contradicts him on it.
I need to say this to you. In my heart, I believe you lot set me up.
He was aware of the camera then as well when he's saying it.
Such an effort.
You set me up
for
because
what?
I could have got
Such a load of effort for what? Like, he looked at the camera and then he put that little bit of performance on there.
gone to prison for about 18 years for looking like I'm helping someone who's a fucking paedophile. Yeah? Where's Andrew now? Where's he gone now? Yeah, gone off the face of the fucking planet. But I bet you know where he is. And I bet, and Bill, where's Bill Maloney? Where's Bill Maloney? Give me Bill Maloney's phone number. Because I need to have it out with him as well, whether he's got dementia and he don't fucking remember or not. That cunt fucking set me up. I come along to do something good. I wanted to use my fame to do something good.
Yeah, no, I don't doubt that.
I was doing that, and I mean that.
I don't doubt
and I mean that.
I don't doubt that
why
for
the
2
fuck?
seconds.
He's, through this last bit, he knows what Brian's saying, 'cause he's heard it a million times before, but he's watching him and he's reading him and he's trying to like judge and ascertain. I think he feels less vulnerable as this is going on, but he's still a little bit concerned that as we get to the end of the conversation, how we're going to leave this, like, is Brian going to do something, like, what's going to happen? But he was just watching him and reading him there.
I go all the way down and I said, Bill, the only thing I can do is I can bring you a bit of promotion because of who I was, yeah, and I'll come down with 3 5D cameras, right, and we'll film the interview and we'll do it better than you're doing with your camcorder, and we'll get it properly if this geezer is Operation Fernbridge's chief witness like you were saying that he was. He ain't.
Couldn't have been.
He ain't. He ain't. So why ain't Bill been arrested? Why ain't Andrew been arrested? Cole Beach goes to prison for 18 years. I don't believe that one either. I believe Andrew Ash was fucking Cole Beach. I believe they're both one in the same. I believe they were both the same people. And when it didn't work out right with the setup with me, around October 2014, because we met in January 12th, I think it went in the paper. And by the end of that year, we've all fallen out. Yeah, and then you're giving it to me on Twitter all the way through 2015. Right, where's Andrew now? Nothing ever happened to him, nothing ever happened to Bill. I just got left with it.
No, he's not disputing any of this and jumping in at any point here, because these are other people. Andrew, Bill, all this. He's broken his link with it. He said, I only gave him £500, I'm not doing it. So all of this, Brian's happy to believe it. He's happy to let him, I think he's not even contradicting it. It might well be the truth, but he doesn't have to try and defend it because it's not him. So he doesn't care. He's like waiting for his own name to come up again, isn't he? He's watching Brian. He's thinking, he's thinking and reading and watching Brian. He hasn't taken his eyes off him, He's keeping his eye on him. But he's not interjected at any of this.
Shit, now you've got people like Paula Mann parking up outside fucking...
Again, a cover of the face. Paula Mann's name come up, and that surprised him that Paula Mann was suddenly thrown into it. Maybe it wouldn't surprise him, but and he covered that over with the scratch.
Parked up outside the BB.
Not consciously, but like, watch the difference in his face. Paula Mann's name comes up,
People like Paul the Man parking up outside fucking...
And that comes, you know, the hand comes in to cover it. Sorry, it's cut off a bit, and it is, it's filmed a little bit like that. It's, you know, it just is what it is, isn't it? Like, I'm not dissing Brian's filming. He's in the street just like having a conversation like this. So, let's get that.
I just got left with the shit. Now you got
I suppose this is the easiest body language to read in the world, isn't it? Because this man's just a nasty liar, but
people like Paul the Man
in my opinion.
parking up outside fucking...
There it goes. People like Paul the Man parking up out...
I just got left with the shit. Now you got people like Paul the Man parking up outside fucking...
And he literally half opens his mouth as the hand goes over.
He's parked up outside the
Been
BBC.
to my office twice.
Billboards up. Yeah, but do you know, I'll be honest with you, and it looks set up.
What did I say?
It looks set up.
What can you say? Well, you can do a massive Jupiter's Delight, big smile, hands not up, but like this, like look like blatant caught out body language, sat in your car with whatever this billboards thing is, I don't know, but the car looks as fake as his, you know, response body language. It all, this rings, what Brian's saying rings true. What he's doing is showing us the body language of someone who has been caught out. So, in my opinion.
Like when he went, as you know where John Wedger lives.
Big smile, you know, the hands, it just...
How does he know where John Wedger lives?
I don't know if he does he?
This is what I'm saying. He does, because he went there.
I've not a clue. I don't know if he does he? They're two different answers. The first one is tacit admittance that he does know it. It's like accepting the first point. How does he know? And then he remembers the politicians, the legal. No, how would I know? How does he? I don't know if he does know. So the thing is, you wouldn't come up with that second answer unless you were trying to, you know, play that level of game. Like, if you just answer, I don't know. You know, I don't know. That's a fair enough answer. I don't know how he knows. I don't know. But to contradict the fact that he even does know, or that I would even know that he does know. See, I wouldn't even know that if I wasn't. It's what he's doing is he's putting himself in the position mentally of someone who's innocent and what they would and wouldn't know, and giving those answers. So that was him saying, I wouldn't know that if I was innocent, would I? So, yeah, got ya. So I'm saying that that's not the sort of thing an innocent person does. They just give you the answer. They don't try and work out the sneaky, clever logic of it. They just say, I don't know why he knows that. I don't know. Like, but now he's like got an extra layer in, and it smells fishy again. Like, I don't want to sort of, you know, obviously this is Ian Puddick, and I'm probably going to cop a load of flack by saying he's a liar on the internet. No, but I think he's like body language, to my opinion, seems problematic in line with what he's saying.
That looks set up as well.
I mean, Brian won't doing this. Who's ever gonna like? This is a weird body language route, like I said, because I think everyone who watches this probably thinks the same thing. I don't think I'm like exposing him. I think Brian already thinks this already, doesn't he?
It looks like they're all part of the little team. This Cliff geezer, he's tried to separate himself and say, I came down to Parliament on my own.
But what's interesting about it is the way that Puddick's face reacts to certain aspects of it. And Brian might not have like Puddick's, he might not have Puddick's confession, but with certain notes that have been hit here, he's got Puddick's like response, which is almost good enough, isn't it? Like, you know, the way his face has reacted to certain things.
You came with Bill Maloney and that.
And the fact that he's trying to not...
I didn't. I come down there, I got dropped off by John Wedger, who's picked me up. He's been out there putting the boot into me as well. It's like, what the fuck's going on? I can't...
He looks incredibly like Johnny Vegas. Maybe he's involved in the Jay Slater case.
For fucking hell. And then I end up as the cunt, getting slagged off on Sean Atwood's with you lot, talking about, oh, he needs help, he needs help. Like, what is that about, Ian?
Well, I said on there that you're very talented, didn't I? You are. You've got a brilliant voice. Look, you've all the songs you've done. You've had major hits.
Yeah, but...
Great, this is good, isn't it? Like, he's actually directly confronting you about the bad things you've said about him. And he's like, yeah, I also said some good things, didn't I? So, you know, I also said some good things. Like, what about directly answering the question?
That don't mean fuck all. That don't mean fuck all. I try to do something good and got made out to be a cunt over it. That's what I got a problem with. Well, and then all the arrests and all this fucking shit.
Well, I'm sorry you think I'm part of a conspiracy. I'm not part of it.
I do believe you are.
I know you say.
But let me say this, right?
He brought it back there again. He said, I'm sorry you think I'm part of a conspiracy. I'm not part of a conspiracy. He's using the conspiracy word repeatedly. This is not what Brian has said. He doesn't not come over and said, you're a conspiracy. Like, he's doing it because he knows it's been recorded. So he's hoping that he comes off looking like a reasonable man and Brian comes off looking like a nutter. And that's been his easiest play so far, is Brian comes off looking like a nutter. I look reasonable, so I win. And it's not a... You know, to most of us that can see through all that bollocks, it's not a good play. And at this time, it hasn't worked because Brian doesn't look like a nutter. He's not spouting a load of conspiracy. He's asking you direct questions, and you're evading them and using the word conspiracy to try and make him look bad.
Part of a conspiracy, I'm not part.
I do believe you are.
I know you said.
But let me.
Looking directly into the camera. Yeah, being very aware that he's on camera and how he's behaving on camera.
Well, I'm sorry you think I'm part of a conspiracy, I'm not part.
I do believe you are.
I know you said.
But let me say this, right? I do believe you are.
I know.
Brian says, I do believe you are, does he? Yeah.
But let me say
And he looks at the camera and goes, What he's trying to do here is he's trying to appeal to the audience. He's thinking, Brian's recording this, it's going to be on camera. The audience are going to see it. So he's brought up the idea of a conspiracy. And Brian said, I think you are part of a conspiracy. And he's looked at the camera and gone, there you go. What can I do about this, everyone? He's another conspiracy whack job, eh? Like, that's his defence here, is he's thinking about how the public are going to perceive him rather than arguing with Brian. Really? Like, he's not trying to... Like, he's playing two games. He's trying to talk to Brian and, you know, win the battle of the points with Brian or whatever in certain ways, isn't he? Like, with his clever language. But ultimately, he's decided... to resign, like he's resigned himself during this process, or he hasn't thought. It's hard because he's juggling balls up in the air. You know, at the start of this, he wasn't constantly thinking about that. Although he did take a look to camera, and he has been aware of the camera the whole time. But yeah, this is like a real. This face here is really a screaming statement that what he's concerned with here is how he's perceived by us, the people that watch it, and he's tried to manipulate us by bringing up conspiracy. And when Brian says, yes, I believe in a conspiracy, he's looking at you, the audience, and saying, flat earthers, eh? You know, not that Brian is a flat earther, but he's trying to put that thought, you know, trying to see that, put that, you know, circle around it. He's done a few side-eye looks at the camera, has he? Yeah. Now, that's part of this, is he's more trying to manipulate us, the audience, into believing that Brian's a nutter by whatever he does here, behaving and funny little looks, you know, conspiratorial little looks to camera, than actually worried like about what Brian thinks of him, because what Brian thinks of him is irrelevant to him, isn't it, really? Because he's, you know, Brian has told him, this is what I think of you, and he knows he's not going to win that argument, so now he's on to the audience that are going to be watching it. Which is strange for him to put this hand in frame like this the whole time, if he's got any sense of that, because it's kind of off-putting.
whatever you're doing,
Oh, he's moved it then when I said it.
you're going to deny it.
Well, it's a lose-lose, isn't it? It's like saying...
And again, it's this hands like this rather than like this, okay? And these hands are often receiving. They could be defensive. They could be weighing things up. But the smile that comes with it as well, like, I think like he feels he's in a win-win rather than a lose-lose.
Please stop beating your mum.
No, you've got the gift of the gab. Whatever you're doing, you're going to deny it.
Well, it's a lose-lose, isn't it? It's like saying, please stop beating your mum.
No, you've got the gift of the gab. I'll give you that. You've got words. You can wriggle your way out of things.
It's like saying, please stop beating my mom. I don't beat my mom. I don't know where that came from. I think he was doing that earlier though, wasn't it? It's like questioning it. Like, if I agree that I know that... Earlier on there was this idea, how does he know where John Wedger lives? And Puddick said, I don't know that he knows that. If I agree that... If I go, I don't know how he knows that, I'm agreeing that he knows it. You know, it's that double layer that he's like... And he brought it up then, didn't he? He said it's a lose-lose. It's like asking me to stop beating my mom. I think what he meant was, can you not beat your... could you please beat your mom less hard? And if he said, well, I won't beat her as hard then. Oh, I've admitted to beating her. You know, that's what I think he thinks is happening here, is that Brian's coming at him with sort of layers of entrapment, because that's what he does then. Yeah? That's the sort of operational thought process of someone who is defending himself from something that he is guilty of, but is pretending to be innocent of. And he's not in that situation either. Like, he's not in that situation either. Like, Brian's just asking him straight, direct questions. I don't know. I forgot exactly what I just said then. I made a really good point though.
You've got the gift of the gab, I'll give you that.
It's like saying, please stop beating your mum. I don't beat mum.
You've got, no, you...
And he big smile for that as well, because he thinks he's won a logical argument. Like, we're not having a debate in court or like over the question timetable here. This isn't a sort of, you know, you put your point, I put my point, and then logically you've lost 10 points because I said that. You know, it's not that. You might think you've won the argument on that logical statement sense of things there, Mr. Puddick, but I think that it's obvious that you feel self-satisfied with that, and that points towards a different reality. So I think Brian's winning this one. Brian's not looking like a nutter. He's making some very clear and level, and the only thing you've got to say in your defensive, no I didn't. I mean, I know I bought the Ninja, and I know I paid for the Ninja, and I know you've got the receipt from the Ninja, and it ended up in your hands, and you came around to do the filming, and there was a man in the middle, but the middleman, and it's like, everyone knows. Okay, the middleman, but everyone knows. So in today's day and age, when we can see your face on video like this, it really feels like you're being disingenuous. It really, well, not just disingenuous, like, that's your defense, that's your, like, it's a clever, look, listen, what it is it's a clever, like, legal position he's got, isn't it? He's on that early, when he bought that Ninja recorder, he was smart enough to put that middleman in, and now he can always just use that as his defense. Okay, like, if we go to the letter of the law of who you bought the thing for and everything, then yeah, you didn't. And unless you admit it on camera, I think he's worried that if he admits it on camera, Brian might go, okay, well then you did, right, I can sue you for this, this and this. But like, and he thinks unless he ever admits it, no one can ever prove otherwise, the end. But it's not about legally and like cleanly proving it with language. What it's about is whether we believe the truth and what we believe to be the truth. And you've put a middleman in, but you still bought it for Brian. We all know you did. Like, it's just so obvious, isn't it? So like, this has not gone well for Puddick.
Oh, it's a lose-lose, isn't it? It's like saying, please stop beating your mum. I don't beat mum.
You've got the gift of the gab, I'll give you that. You've got words.
You've got the gift of the gab, you've got words. And he does, I mean, he's about to break out into a bigger smile here again, isn't he?
You can wriggle your way out of things.
You can wriggle your way out of things, look. And he literally does. He, you know, he enjoys that. That's like a compliment. And he enjoys receiving the compliment. And he feels like he's done it again. I've wriggled my way out again. Like, and it feels good to have wriggled your way out, doesn't it? You slimy wriggler. Like, so a big smile. Like,
you've got the gift of the gab, I'll give you that. You've got words. You can wriggle your way out of things. I'll give you that.
It's a lose-lose, though. Whatever I say is a lie.
I'll give you that.
It's completely lose-lose.
I know it's not a lie, because I know you...
He just said, it's a lose-lose. Whatever I say is a lie. But what he means is, if he keeps lying, he keeps winning, win-win. Like, it's a lose-lose for Brian, isn't it? Because Brian can't win unless you admit it. So, like, it's not a lose-lose. Like, well, how are you losing by sticking to your story and not budging? Like, how are you losing there? Oh, people think you're lying. Well, if you told the truth, oh, well, then people know the truth, so I still lose. But, like, that's because you've done the bad lie then. So by telling a lie, you've put yourself in a lose-lose situation. The only way you can win-win is to not, like, that's not Brian's fault, is it? It's like, you're trying to stitch me up with an entrapment, is what he's saying. You're trying to say, how often do you beat your wife? And if I say, well, I don't only beat her on Tuesdays. Oh, it's a lose-lose. You admitted to beating your wife. You know, it's one of those trick questions. It's not a trick question. You lose because you lied. If you admit to the lie, you lose. If you carry on lying, you're saying that you lose because no one believes you because you look like a liar. So, yeah, everything I say is a lie, embedded confession. I'll also, yeah, I'll agree with that.
I'll give you that. You've got words. You can wriggle your way out of things. I'll give you that.
It's a lose-lose, though. Whatever I say is a lie.
I'll give you that.
Whatever I say is a lie and then he does the hand face cover again, and he's got the big broad smile here, because I'm a liar is the natural follow on, but he doesn't say it. He covers his, and he's laughing about it. This is actually the glee felt by someone who is literally lying in public, in my opinion, and getting away with it. And he feels it's wonderful that even the man who has caught him out and knows the truth, who can stand in front of him and point at him and say, you've done this, can't do anything other than that. Really, and he's starting to feel much more confident, isn't he? Like sat in his car, having his laugh.
You've got the gift of the gab. I'll give you that. You've got words. You can wriggle your way out of things. I'll give you that.
It's a lose-lose, though. Whatever I say is a lie.
I'll give you that.
It's completely lose-lose.
I know it's not a lie because I know you bought me the Ninja. I know on camera you're going to say, no, I bought it for Bill.
This is the crux of it. We've had this, right? I don't want to bring myself into this really, but after Brian, after I did Nicola Buddy Case Solve, Brian said I'd get extra levels of trolling, and things sort of fell apart in a little way. Like we had some severe trolling and some weird community shit go on, right? And
I know it's not a lie because
I know it's not a lie. I knew the truth about certain aspects that people were saying weird shit and lying about, right? And Brian earlier mentioned Eddie's vinyl break, didn't he? Like, we all good? We rolling and everything, yeah? Yeah, we're rolling, aren't we? Eddie's vinyl break came up and he told some awful, I want to call them lies, but it's not even a lie, is it? It's just a fucking like outrageous statements. Like he said some really fucked up things, yeah? So, but when it's people saying it about you, you know the truth because you know what you did and didn't do. Like, I'll bring in, like, this goes back to people saying that I was in another stream trolling them and stuff. Like, you know what you did and didn't do, yeah? So you know they're lying about you. And, like, that's a really strong position to feel like you're in. But it's a strange position as well because they're lying about you. And what can you do to solve that? Like, people, like, liars gone lie. Do you know what I mean? And this is this sort of Mexican standoff. You know, in films where, like, they've all got the guns pointing at each other at the end. Like, it's like a Mexican standoff. There's no guns here. No one's pointing against guns. But PUDDICK knows that, like, this is like Brian knows, he knows, and what now? Like, what is, I suppose, the next sort of, he's never, as long as he takes this to his grave, he's not going to budge. But the most interesting thing about it for me is, like, Brian knows. So he's faced with, like, in his heart of hearts, in the like the truth of it all, like, he knows he's been busted. He knows he's not that clever because Brian's smarter. And I suppose, like, in some ways he might, PUDDICK might say to himself in the cold night, dead of night, that, PUDDICK is the smarter one, he's got away with this or whatever. But Brian knows. Like, Brian knows. I think I agree with what Brian's saying based on PUDDICK's body language here. So I think I know, but I don't know, but, like, Brian knows, chess game, admit it on camera, saying denial, hands, all that, doesn't matter, right? This is all the after game. This is all the, like, in some ways you might think, like, Ian PUDDICK thinks the main game is the public opinion game. The main game is what happens in the world of the public opinion, where you end up, whether you get the big house or, whether you have to struggle or whatever. He thinks that's the main game. But Brian, as well as I know full well, that the main game is in the truth of your heart and your soul. And hopefully, with faith, after we die and, like, heaven and hell, like, PUDDICK's going to hell, like, Brian is going to heaven. Like, we know. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, so, I think I'd rather know in my heart and have those angel wings than to know the other in my heart and go to hell. Like, everyone knows here. It's like the cards are on the table. Like, everyone's seen... No, it's not that. We've all seen each other's cards. We've all seen each other's cards. The Emperor is naked. Everyone's still following the Emperor and saying he's got clothes on or whatever. You're still sitting at the table doing your bluff. But we know. I'm not even going to sit at the table. I'm not playing cards. I've seen yours. And I know, like, so that, like, that meta game, that above station, if this is what people mean when they talk about rising above it, like, this is a really good example of this. Brian's gone through a lot of stress in his life. He's having this opportunity to confront PUDDICK, like, literally to confront him. And the way this is going, and I haven't seen the end of the video. We're going to see Brian, obviously, on this stream, wasn't he? He was talking about this. That's why I've just jumped back to this one. I've taken ages and I'm missing his stream now. But the important thing here is that if Brian handles this correctly for himself, not for Puddick. Puddick's going to drive away and think he's right. And not think he's right, think he's proved it, think he hasn't, still clever, all that. But know in his heart that Brian has seen him for who he is, yeah? And he has to drive away knowing that he didn't beat Brian, he didn't win, he didn't, it doesn't matter what happens in court and on the newspapers and whatever, he didn't beat Brian, he didn't win. Brian was able to rise above it and move on and not be... he's turned up here to remonstrate with him. Hopefully for Brian, every time he hears Puddick's around the corner, he doesn't have to turn up again because he's done it now. And Brian's able to rise above it and move on with his life. Brian's the one that wins, isn't he? And literally rise above it, to stand in front of him and say, I know what you've done. You're lying to my face. Good luck with your life. When we talk about forgiveness in the Christian sense, yeah, being able to stand with him there and not maybe directly say to him, I forgive you, but I'm not going to take out I'm not going to be the judge and the arbiter of this anymore. I'm just going to give it to God. I've stood there and I've told you that I know, and you haven't beaten me. And he's looked him in the eye and told him, yeah. So Puddick knows it, and part of the smirk and the thing and all that is hiding his sense of shame, I suppose, his sense of cowardice. If he looks deep in the mirror, he's going to think, in this situation, Puddick came across as a coward and a smirking, sneering schoolboy who'd done the naughty thing, and everyone knew it, but he just wasn't big enough to admit it. So Brian's come out of this looking really good. Puddick looks bad, and this is, I think, a good example in being able to rise above something, because it's a long process, and what Brian's been through is big. But if he can handle this, like I said, and walk away from this the bigger person, it doesn't matter whether everyone in the world knows it. And Brian's proved a lot of stuff and he's gone through it. It mattered to him to tell everyone to it does matter to you when you're being lied about, doesn't it? To not deal in lies, but to instead deal in the truth, to clear your name. It does matter. But ultimately, deep down, Brian's got his friends, he's got his followers on, he's got people who support him, he's got his future and his drives and his desires and his passions, and this sort of stuff doesn't have to be the definition of his life and drag him down. He can rise above it. But Ian Puddick will always be Ian Puddick. Do you know what I mean? Like a fly can sting a horse, and a fly is still a fly, and a horse is still a horse. So Brian can be Brian Harvey, and you can't he smashed up his records, but you can't take away the achievement. He smashed up the gold, the silver records, the platinum records, but you can't take away the achievement. He gets to go on and be Brian Harvey and feel comfortable in himself, that he can look himself in the mirror and say, I told the truth, And Ian Puddick can't do that, can he? He can look himself in the mirror and say, well, I got away with it. And that's different.
Gab, I'll give you that. You got words. You can wriggle your way out of things. I'll give you that.
It's a lose-lose, though. Whatever I say is a lie.
I'll give you that.
It's completely lose-lose.
I know it's not a lie, because I know you bought me the Ninja. I know on camera you're going to say, no, I bought it for Bill, and I understand why you've got to stick to that story.
I'll tell you something else. Until the day he dies, he's never got away with it. You only get away with it when you die, don't you? Because until you do, like Jimmy Savile got away with it until he died, didn't he? But if you get caught when you're alive, I mean, it's unlikely he's going to go to prison for whatever. I don't know if he turned up on camera now and said, I bought that for you, Brian, yes, I don't know what the end result would be. I think it would probably be the same. I don't think anyone's going to end up in prison over buying that now into 2024. I doubt. I don't know. I'm not an expert on the law or what went on. But my guess is it would just be a thing, wouldn't it? He's admitted it now, and he's admitted it, the bastard. But so it'd be like a sort of reputational damage that he'd suffer. But other than that, he'd have to take that to his grave. It's never quite done. If you know you've done the bad thing, this is what I talk about with this, whole internet world, with people who've done bad things and they've got them in their past, and they know they've done them and they're all there, done and recorded, and then they were going to go on the internet and I'm a bad troll, aren't I? I'm one of those people who I'm like one of those people who goes on and slates people on the internet. Yeah, but dig around in my past if you want. I haven't done anything wrong. I'm fine. I'm not worried. But if you have all these sort of hard, nasty skeletons in the closet, you don't necessarily want to be glass houses throwing stones, do you? So yeah, so the people who've done the bad things, like this is just a general morality lesson, like we should have all learned as children. Don't lie, don't steal, you know, sort of thing, isn't it? But the people who've done the bad things have to always be watching over their shoulder. Those bad things never come up. No one found out. No one finds out, you know? Whereas Brian doesn't have to live like that, does he? Like, he's done his utmost best to tell the truth and to reveal evil where he's seen it, to shine light on evil. And, like, for that he is commendable. Whereas what Ian Puddick seems to have, is not commendable, and therefore the shadow haunts you, I would imagine, in the cold night.
Because that completely, one line gets you out of trouble. It gets you out of trouble
What
because
trouble?
if you didn't,
What trouble am I
no,
in?
because if it didn't,
Right.
it means that you bought me the Ninja to go and film this geezer who's going to lie about VIP child abuse,
There must be,
and then that puts you in it.
okay. There must be a lawyer.
During this sequence, when Brian started pointing the finger, he closed his eyes quite... I mean, I know I'm really digging into this now, but there's a lot...
Didn't, it means that you...
He did it again there, and I'm starting to think this is an appeal to the audience. Brian is crazy, I'm having to... Oh, I'm dealing with this, you know, like an appeal, as well as covering his face. Two things that covering gets him. One is it hides his expression, and two, it gets him a mental break, because he's not even physically looking at what's happening. He's hiding it, you know, so it gets him a mental break.
bought me the Ninja to go and film this
But there's a big smile again. Like, look at the smile every time.
geezer
Yeah? The
who's going to
smirk.
lie about VIP child abuse,
There must be,
and then that puts you...
And I think he is using his hand here in an aggressive action, like, but also I think he's trying to cover the camera, maybe. Like, maybe it's just the way the camera's being held makes the hand a big feature, but...
you in it.
okay. There must,
Yeah, because we're getting the pointing now. It's aggression now. He's Ian Puddick didn't like being told, and
About VIP...
I think there was a moment there where he thought, we've had the conversation and we're done. And I kind of felt like that. I felt like, is Brian about to say, okay, how do we resolve this? How do we fix, you know, how do we end the feud? And so so Puddick thought that he was now moving into a phase where Brian is less aggressive. Yeah, how do we fix the feud? And he could have fixed the feud by saying, I'm sorry, I'd also like to fix the feud, and we could have moved into that place, but he didn't, did he? He was countering it with an argument and being not accepting it. So now we're back into this place again, and so he thought he was getting a bit of a mental break. He thought he was getting a bit of a move away from the argument, and now we're back in it again. So his natural response is to meet this with aggression,
Because if it didn't...
and so that's why we're getting this hands, you know, and the pointing.
Well,
And
it means that
when Brian's doing the
You
pointing
bought
at
me the
him,
Ninja to go...
he covers like, it's a defensive thing as well, but like also he's in a position where he's thinking to himself, don't explode, don't overreact, because he's filming me. Yeah, so he's like grabbing that mental break,
film this geezer
and the little smiles on as well, because he's thinking, don't fucking react.
who's going to lie about VIP child abuse,
there
Right,
must
right.
be,
and then that puts you in it.
okay. There must be a lawyer. There must be,
And then that puts you...
And when he says, and then that puts you in it, and he points at him, he's not actually, Brian's hand is not above the car window. So for Puddick, it's not directly in his eye. Like, it's being masked by the car window, yeah? So, like, for Brian, this is nearly aggressive, but he's pointing down at his chest, and the actual barrier of this car is in the way. So Puddick doesn't feel this coming into his eyes, but he closes his eyes, and, like, again, it's like
film this geezer who's going to lie about VIP child
he's wanting to break into this, and he's wanting to start answering the question, or talking now, yeah?
abuse,
there must be,
and then
And he starts, and Brian starts again,
that puts you...
and then he literally, like, he doesn't try and shout over it, he closes down, like it's almost like now, I keep thinking that Ian Puddick is a physically bigger, more imposing person than Brian, yeah? But when faced with this element of the confrontation, like, he took another big mental eye closed break. It's almost like if someone's about to punch you and you just sort of cower away and, like, close your eyes. It's not going to really be a defense, is it? Because you're going to end up getting punched. But, like, it's a sort of don't look at the bear in the eyes, you know, like, cowardice sort of move. But it might be because, you know, looking at the hand, this might be a sort of count to 10 moment, a very quick, brief break away from this, because if I focus on this, I'll get angry, and I don't want to get angry because I'm on camera. Right.
in it.
okay. There must be,
Okay, and we get the finger up. So I'm saying anger is now starting to drive him.
a lawyer or a police officer somewhere that will sit down with you, look at that evidence,
They won't.
and say that I've committed some crime. They must. That will sit down with you, look at that evidence,
They won't.
and say.
This is innocence. Because truthfully, as he says, when he's saying, is there a lawyer that will sit down with you? I'm assuming he's sat down with a lawyer himself and checked whether he's committed a crime, and he's innocent of a crime. And that's why that's the whole point, isn't it? You haven't done a crime, but you've been on the outskirts and the intermediaries, and so you're buffered from the crime. But you are physically, literally innocent of it. It makes me wonder about Penny, actually, because I say that. I don't know why I'm bringing up Nicola Bulley now, but that is good body language for innocence. Like, you know, whoa, I haven't done. Like, imagine someone comes in the kitchen and say, "Oh, whoa, there's a smashed glass in the lounge," and you go, "Well, I haven't done it. No, I haven't done it. Nothing. You know, hands up here, hands off the table. I haven't done it." Like, that's good body language for innocence. But now I'm thinking like he's innocent, but by merit of buffering. So by putting people in the way, like so could Penny's display of innocence be a sort of confidence innocence? You're not going to find anything here. Yeah, there can be different kinds of innocence, can't there? This is interesting to me. But certainly of this specific point, he feels confidently innocent, and he is like, and so maybe like in the mind of the villain, because I'm like tagging him here as Brian the hero, him the villain, yeah. But in the mind of this villain, he hasn't actually done anything legally wrong. So, you know, he is, although it's about morality to us, isn't it? What's right and wrong. To him, his morality is different, and if it's not legally, then you can't tell him off for it. So I've not done anything wrong, leave me alone. And that's like life, isn't it? You know, there are certain things that are not legally wrong, but you still wouldn't do them, but someone might, and then you could tell them off and say, "Oh, I haven't done anything wrong." Different lines, like, so for that point, I think he does feel innocent of that. By merit of being clever, maybe, but like I say clever, by merit of setting up those buffers, but
There must be,
And then that puts you in it.
okay. There must be a lawyer or a police officer somewhere that will sit down with you, look at that evidence,
They won't.
and say that I've committed some crime. There must be.
They won't.
There must be.
They won't, because
he does the defensive again of the neck and the like belief. Like again, this is an interesting. I kind of want to call it a technique because he's asking you directly, Ian, but instead he's saying, why don't you ask the police and the lawyers, and if they won't help you, then I'm sorry, but they're trying to do their best, and argue at them. Like, it's kind of like deflection away, isn't it? But he's also confident on this point because I think he's researched that law himself, so he feels confident. Yeah.
your official version.
Because I don't know what I've done. Again, he slipped that in. It's that second level of thinking. There must be someone who can tell you, because I don't know what I've done. I haven't checked, and I haven't done anything wrong. And as an innocent person, I wouldn't know what I've done. So, it's that next level which makes me think: why would you think like that if you weren't trying to second guess what an innocent person would say?
Of it all now is that you bought it for Bill, and Bill gives it to me. So that ain't you buying it for me. So I've got two written confessions of you saying you bought it for me. One, I'm ungrateful, and the other role, your role, was to provide me £500.
Well, I've explained
there was no smart, yeah, but again.
Okay, this one he never properly explained it because we never got through the conversation. But my role was to provide £500 for Brian Harvey to buy an Ninja recorder for interviews. So he's saying that, and I understand what he's saying, that they were saying you're taking a role in setting up, and he's saying, well, my role, if you're saying I've got a role, my only role, and it isn't a role, by putting in inverted commas, it's not a role, all I did was give £500 so that Brian Harvey could buy a Ninja recorder. I'm not buying him a Ninja recorder. It's all language, isn't it? But he is saying that intending to defend himself for the purchase rather than intending to drop himself in it. So that one I think we have to discount a little bit. Although what it does do is it proves that he's provided £500 for Brian Harvey to buy a Ninja recorder. But what problem we have now is that he's there sitting there saying, I didn't do it. I didn't do that. So you've got contract, and you have to say that the man's statement, from his mouth on today's video has to be the more precedent, I don't know, does it have to be the precedent set? I mean, is that an admission that he bought that for Brian and now you can't trust what he's saying? I suppose it is, isn't it? We all know that he obviously did this. Like, it's there in black and white again, isn't it? Yeah, no, I'm going to say actually, yeah, the role part is not that important, my role, because he's arguing about the semantics of role, whether he's taking a role, whether he's part of a conspiracy. But Brian's asking, did you give him the money to buy the Ninja recorder? Did you buy me a Ninja recorder? And effectively, yes, he fucking did. So
Your answer is like your other answer. These are the only answers that you can give.
But it's a correct answer.
Yeah.
there we go with the smile. Yeah, but it's a correct answer. So I've found a legal loophole, so you can't. But it doesn't mean you're not doing something wrong. It means you found a loophole. So we all agree you found a loophole, but we're not in court. I just want you to admit that you are an arsehole. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like a different level. Brian's a real person, and round the way, you know, it doesn't matter. We're not in the local boozer. It's not, Your Honour, I put it to you that I did not said it's, are you an arsehole or not? And like, yes, you're obviously an arsehole. You will never admit it, but you obviously fucking did know when I was smiling and like, you know.
You'll say that.
Yeah, but right,
You'll
so-
say that. Stop
okay.
laughing about it.
No,
it's
it's
not
'cause
funny.
everyone-
Even Brian's calling him out for the laughing about it. It's got to the point where he can't keep a straight face.
Whatever I say is a lie. Right, so you ask me a
I
question.
believe you're lying.
It's not, we didn't say that whatever you say is a lie. It's you said that whatever you said is a lie because you keep lying.
But it's a correct answer.
Yeah, you'll
Well,
say that.
yeah, but right,
You'll
so-
say that. Stop
okay.
laughing about
No,
it.
it's
It's not
because
funny.
whatever I say is a lie. Right, so you ask me a question.
I believe you're lying. I'll tell you straight out.
No, but that's fine.
I
That's
believe,
fine.
I believe
But
you're
I
lying.
must be able to tell the truth on some level. There must be something I say.
Well, I don't know. I don't know that.
Yeah, but you're
All I
not
know
gonna
is,
believe
but it's not about me believing.
Well, we could talk about other things and maybe you could tell the truth about that. But on this, you seem to not want to at any point get into any detail or tell any sort of truth, even though we all feel that it's obvious, you know, in my opinion. You were saying in chat that you said he's basically talking spin, yeah? Like, this reminds me of, it reminds me of, like, if you, like, it's just, it's like a naughty school child who's in front of the headmaster. Well, Brian is playing the role of authority here in some way, but like, because he's not admitting it, he's still getting a fucking detention in my mind. Like, he's still naughty, but he just won't, like, you know, admit it. And you can't force people to admit things, can you? So, like, there's a bit of an impasse, but like, the teachers and the grown-ups, like, whether he gets the detention or not, to be honest, whether, you know, he admits it or not, and therefore by the rights and the laws and all this, it doesn't matter. The teachers just, next time something goes missing in the classroom or someone causes a trouble, they go looking at him, don't they? Because they know he's a naughty. Like, we all know the truth, but you're wheedling out of it doesn't make you look any, like, that's it, wheedling out of it doesn't make it look better. There comes a time where you have to stand up and just accept it and say, okay, you know what, I've been caught out, here's the honesty. And people like, that comes across a lot better, even though people are still aggrieved at the thing you've done. That, I mean, it's like exactly what happens in court, isn't it? You get favourable treatment in court for that sort of behaviour. Like, at this point, the fact that he's not doing that makes him look so much worse.
You. I've
And
seen
it's funny because he's caught between a dance, I suppose. He's saying rock and a hard place, I can't win. The rock and hard place really is that if he does admit it, there's a legal implication, but he could win in the public opinions. Like, for someone who thinks he understands public opinion and the way he's perceived in public, and he keeps looking at the camera and he's manipulating public opinion and stuff, like, I'm surprised he doesn't realise this, that if he were to tell the truth in this situation, he would look better. But then that's the rock and the hard place, isn't it? Because if he did, he might look better, but he might also look worse in other places, maybe legal places. So, like, he can't win whether he admits it or doesn't. But at this point, he's committed to not admitting it. So,
I had the fucking Ninja in my hand. Right? You bought it for me. You're going to say you bought it for Bill. You bought it for me to go and film a fake VIP witness to child abuse who has been completely made up in order to set me up so that I look like I'm backing some fucking paedophile later on down the line. That's how I see it. That's how I perceive it here.
Okay.
Right? So, at the end of the day, what's done is done. Isn't it? What's done is done.
Can we agree to disagree? And I'm not angry with you or anything.
We can agree to disagree, right? But let me just say this now.
stating, I'm not angry with you or anything, after sitting there holding back his anger for the last 10 minutes. It's quite an interesting one. Just to, like, put that out in public, you know, to make that statement, I am not angry.
From my point of view,
Like, you don't have any, also, he doesn't have any right or like to be angry because it's Brian that's been aggrieved by him. So that's gaslighting 102, isn't it? Like, that's gaslighting. Next week we'll teach you how to subtly throw in the idea that you are the victim when actually you are the aggressor. Right.
He's done.
Can we agree to disagree? And I'm not angry with you or anything.
We can agree to disagree, right? But let me just say this now. From my point of view, you have been and are setting me up. Can this stop now?
Yes.
If you are doing it,
yeah.
That's interesting.
Setting me up.
He was going to argue about it again, but he bit his lip, literally. That's a sign that he wants to say something, but he's holding it back. And quite fairly, because we've been around the conversation now, yeah?
Can this stop now?
Can this stop now is a different question that I don't know if he expected it would come. I don't know if he expected that question. So it takes a minute for him to register it.
Yes.
And then he answers it with a fair... Like, most of us would answer the question immediately. Obviously, in a situation where you have to be careful about what you're saying, most of us would then say, yeah, like, you know, there's a moment where you check your answer. But this makes me feel like it's already stopped, maybe? Like, because he's so confident in saying it, and not... This doesn't feel like a lie like the others.
If you are doing it,
Yeah.
Oh, no, there's the smile.
can this stop now?
Absolutely.
So now it's not so good. But unlike the other times, do you beat your wife heavy or whatever? Like, and I don't want to keep saying that because that'll probably fuck up our YouTube thing if we want to monetize this and put it on YouTube. But I might just do it as members content. But also I want Brian to see it. So the implication was there, like, can it stop? Yes. So how can it stop if you're not doing it? There's nothing to stop. So it won't, like, whatever Brian thinks is happening, if I'm not, like, let's say I'm him, yeah? And I'm attacking Brian and Brian's going eggy and all that. And Brian says, can you stop it? And he says, yes, it will stop. Yeah, because he's doing it. But if it's not me doing it and I'm watching Brian get trolled and I'm thinking, I wonder who's doing that to him. Like, and then Brian says, can you stop it? Will it stop? And I say, well, I don't know if it will stop because I'm not fucking doing it. So I can tell you it will stop, but Paula Mann and whomever else are just going to do whatever the fuck they want, aren't they? Right, so of course it won't stop. I can't, there's no way I can promise you that, Brian. I'm not doing it. But he confidently thought and then said yes. So that's the tacit, is tacit the right word? That's like the embedded confession. That's the, you know, the, it might be that he's not doing it anymore because Brian is no longer a threat or is no longer in the position he was in, or whatever the thing is happening that was happening, the reasons he was doing it, maybe that's changed. You know, maybe he's got other things on his agenda today. Like, maybe he doesn't have to do this in the way he was before, so he can confidently say yes because he's not been doing it for a while. But is that not an implicit admission that he has been doing it? Because otherwise, how can he confidently stop it? A better response would have been to think for a minute and say, I will not be engaging in any trolling or whatever the thing is of you, Brian. Whether it stops or not is beyond my control, because other people exist doing whatever, because I've never been doing it, and I know you don't believe me, but I will continue to not be doing it. Like, that would probably be a better sort of explanation, but a confident yes.
Agree, right? But let me just say this now. From my point of view, you have been and are...
And I thought he was going to maintain that straight face because he was smiling so quickly in all the others. But the fact he holds the straight face and then breaks into a smile just makes me think the answer's no anyway.
Setting me up. Can this stop now?
Yes.
If you are doing it,
Yeah.
can this stop now?
Absolutely.
Right?
But then whatever happens to you, you'll blame me.
No,
Yeah,
no.
listen
If we
to-
end it,
No.
if we end
No,
it,
'cause
no,
you-
if we
And whatever happens to you, you'll blame me is an after, it's the second thought rather than the first thought. Can it stop? I don't know, because you'll blame me for everything. I won't do it. So yes from my end, rather than yes. Oh, but whatever happens, you'll blame me. Like, which is what I would have said if I was innocent.
end it,
No.
we end it now,
You've had video.
and we properly end it now.
Okay. You've had.
And again, Brian has offered him, we end it and we end it now and we properly end it now. Again, Brian has offered him that. But I think if you're Ian Puddick and you feel powerful, then this is someone begging you to stop rather than offering to, you know, truce, olive branch or whatever. Whereas Brian feels much more confident and strong in this situation. So Brian is offering him a reasonable, like, almost like peer-to-peer equals. And Puddick is not Like, it's almost like he's laughing at this person rather than like, you should immediately be like, it's the second opportunity for the olive branch, and Puddick has not, like, for all the trouble that's gone on, immediately jumped on that and said, oh yeah, absolutely, no, I'll shake your hand and we can end this now, because he obviously doesn't want to immediately end it, does he? Like, if he did, if it was an issue for him that he wanted to stop, when that offer was made, he would immediately grab the offer. But instead of doing that, he's now arguing about it again.
No, if we end it, we end it now.
And all this, no, and doing his head, like, on camera, pantomime.
Yeah.
Trying to play a victim.
Can this stop now?
Absolutely.
Right?
But then whatever happens to you, you'll blame me.
If we end it, we end it now.
You've had video...
And we properly end it now.
Okay. You've had people turn up at your house. I've got a freaking clue they are. Go, Puddick sent her or sent him, and I haven't got a clue who they are. So
I don't know.
So there was a difference between I haven't got a clue who they are and I haven't got a clue who they are the second time round. The first time, I think he legitimately didn't know who was actually going around the house. But then Puddick sent them, and Puddick's involved, and like, oh, maybe there's something different here. And then, is this something that he wants to unburden himself of, so then we can end it? Is this something that hasn't been talked about, that he wanted to say, okay, if we end it now, let's end it now, but let's just get this out there first, and then we can end it. Like, this is another thing I want to unburden myself of, because this wasn't something Brian had said in this whole conversation, but now he's bringing it up. Maybe it's part of his guilt complex that if we end it now, are we ever going to talk about this again? I want to get this one out there. And like, if you're offering me a sort of, maybe there's an element of, if you're offering me a truce, then I'll throw all the weapons on the table. You know, if it's now armistice, if it's an amnesty, I'll throw all the weapons on the table now, because otherwise this one might come back again. Like, let's put that one under the carpet as well. Like, let's absolve me of this as well. If we're absolving me and we're saying I'm going to end it, then this one too.
I've got a freaking clue they are. Go, Puddick sent her or sent him, and I haven't got a clue who they are. So
I don't know that.
Well, that's fair enough. Someone turned next person. So we agree now as men, which is fine. And then next week, someone turns it. Oh, Puddick sent them, and I'm back in the radar. And
So now we're lining up for the future. Like, instead of this being like, Ian Puddick is a forward thinker, isn't he? Like, what's happening here is that through no chance, I mean, maybe he's come to Walthamstow deliberately to engage with this. I can't imagine but through like happenstance, this has fallen into his lap. So he sat there and read the situation and listened to Brian talk, and while Brian's been talking, he's had a chance to sit and listen and think. And now at the end of the resolution, it's supposed to be a shake hands and we'll go home and just stop, yeah? But before we shake hands and just leave it there, what can I get for the future? Like, is there something, okay, Brian's getting his bit, what can I get out of this? How can I leverage this? And the leverage is that I can now troll you in the future, and because we've said shake hands and stop now, you can't pretend it's me, or not pretend, but believe it's me. Like, he's basically saying it, like, you get trolled again and you'll think it's me again, which is almost like saying in the past I've been trolling you and you've been thinking it's me. But like, so he's like securing himself a future get out of jail free card for future trolling then, no? Like, or why wouldn't he? So listen, the reason I'm not going to shake hands with you and say I'm not going to troll you is because in the future you might think I'm trolling you and it would be someone else, so I might as well not shake hands with you now. Like, what? Like, he's saying don't accuse me again in the future.
there's nothing I can say because whatever I've said is a lie. It's a complete lose-lose.
It's a complete lose-lose. So I won't be shaking hands. And he's had an opportunity there. Like, it feels like the third opportunity that Brian has directly said to him. Just literally say now, agree to put down tools or weapons or whatever, and we will just call a truce. And he's disagreed and said that I can't call a truce because in the future maybe someone else might troll you and you'll say it's me.
It's the way you've played it. Sat back and watched the way you've played it for years. No.
And again, we had this, look.
Lose-lose.
I've watched the way you've played it.
I've watched the way you've played it. And he sits there and sort of agrees, yeah, okay, yeah, that's taken for red. And then he remembers that, no, I'm not supposed to be playing it. Oh, no, played it is wrong. But not the immediate response of, hang on, I haven't played anything. But the secondary response of, I remember what an innocent man would say at this point.
Sat back and watched the way you played it for years. No, I have. Ian, you could...
Played? Oh, I haven't played anything. Yes, you have.
Back in the...
Well, according to your body language, you seem to be embarrassed and doing the the Duper's Delight for being called out on played, and you just admitted and agreed and nodded along to the fact you'd played. So
Radar, and there's nothing I can say because whatever I've said is a lie. It's a complete lose-lose.
I've watched the way you've played it. Sat back and watched the way you've played it for years. No, I have. Ian, you can laugh. I'll tell you what, you've got the gift of the gab. You're very good. You're very good. You'll laugh it and smile it off. It's very good. It's very good. But I'm telling you now, I don't fall for it.
Good.
Right?
Okay.
I don't fall for it.
maybe the audience do. And what? And what? It's that impasse again, yeah. Like, I'm called out on the bullshit. Like, finally, we just have a nothing. Like a sort of, well, what? Like...
But I'm willing to call a truce with you, right?
There we go. The hand comes out now. And look, the way he looks down at it immediately and like, right, there it is now. So shut up now and shake it then. Like, it's because he was driven out of ideas. His final idea was, like, so now he supposes, like, this is probably the best move. And you better accept it quick and on his terms. The hand is out before you put your hand out. And, like,
Fall for it. But I'm willing to call a truce with you, right? Are you willing to do that?
Of course.
Right, do we mean this?
Yes.
Do we mean
I have
this?
my fingers crossed.
photo op. Made a joke to sort of like, this is a weird one because it's direct one, like, he's avoided direct one-on-one, hasn't he? And like the handshake itself is a, you know, a physical act, and during the motion of it he wanted to escape into a joke and a talk toward camera. I think there's a big forced smile, but also it's a smile of relief because we've come to the end of the confrontation. It hasn't ended with, you know, it's ended with a handshake rather than anything particularly negative, hasn't it?
Do we mean
Yeah,
this?
of course.
And then he leans forward and gives Brian a physical touch to say, sort of, move away. But also, it's a dominant act, isn't it? Like, in this final moment, he tried to assert authority over the situation. Not authority, but dominance over the situation. It looked like it was going this way. He sort of mentally realised that if he doesn't shake Brian's hand and accept the truce, he's going to look bad, and that this is the resolution for this. Like, obviously, it's the best resolution. It has been for a number of moments throughout this process. So that once he's decided to sort of commit to that, like, mentally, he sort of wanted to take some sort of sense of control over that situation. Like, he offered his hand to Brian, like,
To call a truce with you,
boom, there it is, yeah.
right? Are you willing to do that?
Of course.
Right, do we mean this?
Of course wasn't on the menu earlier. It was argue, but now it's of course. Like you're being silly to not assume I would do a truce.
Yes.
Do we?
And he has to lean under the window. He could stand up and out, but he's come down and under to look at the camera. Hello, you. Look, I'm nice.
Do we mean
I have my
this?
fingers crossed.
The nice man made a joke.
Do we mean
Yeah,
this?
of course. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, of course. Because a handshake means nothing to him.
Yes.
Do we mean
I have my
this?
fingers crossed.
Do we mean
Yeah,
this?
of course.
Ian?
Yes. Of
Yeah?
course.
Because otherwise it's going to go on and on.
But it's not going on from my side. There's nothing
but
going on.
It,
There
it, feel,
isn't.
it feels like it is from
No,
our
I,
point of
I
view.
get that. No,
And it's not something you can ever admit to, is it? Let's be honest.
and I can see from talking to you that you believe that. You're not making.
Oh, that's awful as well. It's like, again, he's putting him down. He's using the hand motion. This is to camera again, isn't it? I can see from talking to you, you poor patient, that you believe that, rather than confessing that it's the truth. And again, we've gone on that circular conversation at the end again, hasn't
It
we?
feels like it is from
No,
our
I
point of view.
get that. No,
And it's not something you can ever admit to, is it? Let's be honest.
And I can see from talking to you.
So instead of it's not something you can admit to, and the reason we've got this problem is because you're a liar, it's that you've got a problem, Brian, because you can't understand things properly. And, you know, the rest of us, the adults, can see from talking to you that you believe it. That's not going to fly anymore, really, I don't think. I just don't think that flies. So that's his strategy, and it has been for a long time, isn't it? Like, if you can make your opponent seem insane, then everyone will believe you and won't believe your opponent. But I'm sitting here thinking that that's just a final attempt at manipulation. Like, you just said that you weren't going to do any more of this bollocks. and then you've just tried to make Brian look crazy again. So
that you believe that. You're not making... I know, I can see that. I can see that.
And with mental health, right? With mental health, if someone has, and I'm not saying Brian's got delusions at all, right? But if someone did have delusions, it's not that you should say, I can see that you believe that. It's that you should take their delusions seriously for, like you don't say to them, no, that's not happening, you're being stupid. You say, well, that must be really stressful. Would you like to come and sit down? Like, you know, not, I can see that you believe that, but I don't know, it's just a funny way to, like, in stating it like that, it's implied in the, it's this funny thing, isn't it? It's the beat you white again. It's that, do you do this thing? Yes, I do. Oh, therefore there's something implied in within it. It's that I can see that you believe it, meaning no one else does, and that it's not true, and that you've got a problem. And like, it's the you know, it's the questioning of someone's mental state in just simply accepting that they have a view. Like, it would be better if you'd said that's your view, that would come out okay. But I can see that you believe that with the hand pat doesn't come across so well, does it, to me?
I can see that.
Right, and Bill Maloney, he's the next one I've got to talk to.
Okay.
Can you arrange that?
Yep.
Okay.
I've given Lee my card.
All of a sudden now, yep, I can arrange that. Whereas before, he was not very helpful in knowing all these different people and helping, was he? He didn't know any of them anymore, but...
So you've got my mobile number.
I mean, he's not going to like it because he is in the forefront of setting me up. And the way that he's done a runner after all this has happened, no one's ever seen him again. He was out there, and the way that he's done a runner is he is in the forefront of setting me up. And the way that he's done a runner... After all this has happened, no one's ever seen him again. He was out there prominent,
It was good.
and then boom. He weren't good. He weren't good. The way that he spoke to Andrew, if Andrew was genuine, disgusting. The way that he's treated me after coming in and helping him like that and doing all that editing, making him a music video, disgusting. Disgusting treatment.
But that's between you and him and other people.
Well,
Again, he didn't, like, Brian reeled off those, you know, grievances, and he just didn't have any response for that because it's not his head on the block for that. So he doesn't have to defend it, and he doesn't give a shit. Like, he's he's listening and thinking, this isn't about me, this isn't about me. Okay, I can just check. Okay, no, don't have to answer that really then. Just don't care. Okay, next. Like, it's a strange one because he's not really, like, engaged in a conversation here. What he's doing is he's scanning Brian's words so that he can defend himself at every given opportunity, isn't he? Like, I suppose that's the, you know, that's the way he's going to feel about this confrontation, isn't it? But you know, everything that's gone on, after Brian talks about those people, his response is, well, they're other people, aren't they? Talk to them. And isn't that your whole defence? Isn't that the whole point of having these buffer people in between you and the thing? So, you see, it reminds me of The Sopranos and the Rico cases in The Sopranos. Like if you're the boss and you've given the orders, like, you're still naughty, but people have got to prove that you've given the orders. So otherwise, you just sort of pretend you didn't. Like, I'm not saying that he is or anything. It says reminds me of that aspect of that. Like,
I would say you're his funder, but if we're ending it, then we're ending it.
Yeah.
Right? And whatever has gone on between me and you ends now.
But you did end it before when Brian Hill came to your house, and then Stranger turned up your house, and you went,
but see, again, I believe you sent him. I do, mate. I believe you sent him.
I've got a file of stuff with the police.
I wouldn't doubt it.
I had him arrested.
I wouldn't doubt it. Yeah, but again, that's a bit like you reporting Cliff to the police. I don't know that. If you're as high up as I think you are, which I think you are, because Wedge has already said about all this plumbing stuff being a cover-up. You know, we had plumbing and building offices and all that, and it all looked genuine. You know what I mean? That's what I think this is a part of, Ian. I ain't going to lie to you.
It's such a big conspiracy. It just gets
sounds like it.
And bigger and bigger.
he held that all back. There was a half-cocked smile in there. And he's just brought in conspiracy again. So, you know, didn't sound too off what Brian was saying. I mean, I do want to point that out, I suppose. And yeah, carry on.
Know that. If you're as high up as I think you are, which I
if
think
you're as high up as I think you are, and I think you are, gets this surprise.
I think you are, because Wedge has already said about all this plumbing stuff.
But the rest of his face doesn't budge. So I'm thinking poker face.
being a cover, you know, we had
You mentioned Wedger.
plumbing and building offices and all that, and
And there is just a hint of a half smile here when he talks about the cover and the offices and stuff. I think he thinks it's pretty clever cover.
it all looked genuine, you know.
All look genuine, gets a little bit of a smile, doesn't it?
And that's what I think this is a part of.
But only half smile, like, and a hidden half smile. It looked genuine, yeah, it looks genuine, doesn't it? We've done a good job with that. Whether it is genuine or not.
I ain't gonna lie to you.
It's such a big conspiracy. It just gets
It sounds
bigger
like it.
and bigger and bigger.
It sounds like
For
it.
what? For why? For what?
Well, you're a leak buster, aren't you? You bust leaks. People like me are your leaks. I'm the people that you got to shut down. You must admit, it all fits nicely.
Drawing breath over the teeth.
I'm the people that you got to shut down. You must admit, it all fits nicely.
Haven't seen him do that all the time that we've been talking. Unease. Baring the teeth. Aggression. Is this like a sore point? Usually this denotes minor irritation or disapproval, deployed with a shake of the head, glimmer of a smile, absurdity of what's transpired. Moving up the scale, the sucking from further back in the mouth. Let's have this. Because it's not just kissing, this is about kissing the teeth, which was a thing for a while, wasn't it? But further back in the mouth, long this responds to episode's deeper incredulity, recounting how a hapless driver hit your car, or responding to anything my late mother would call foolishness. It's a response to foolishness. So maybe he doesn't, you know, maybe it's Brian's being foolish and he thinks Brian's being foolish. But maybe it's foolish to call out the cover. Like, that's only one opinion. There's also the baring of the teeth, which I'm a bit more familiar with, but like it's a very standout piece of
Leaks. I'm the people that you got to shut down. You must admit, it all fits nicely.
it was quick, I suppose. I paused it.
I'm the people that you got to shut down. You must admit, it all fits nicely.
I can see how you make that connection, but
And I don't.
my engineers are out not looking for people like you. They're looking for holes in pipes.
You must admit, it all fits nicely.
I can see how you make that connection, but
And I don't.
my engineers are out not looking for people like you. They're looking.
He deflects over to the engineers. So the engineers, I think, are, like, if he's got other engineers working on his, like, if he has a company and they fix leaks, boiler leaks and stuff, he probably does have genuine engineers that go out and genuinely do that. Because he moved on to that into the safe space.
I can see how.
That you got to shut down. You must admit, it all fits nicely.
What do we think about that? I feel like it's a pain. No, I don't know what he's looking at out of frame, and like he's got his head tilted and stuff, so I'm loath to really use the NLP eyes, but neuro-linguistic programming would be about, he's about to make something up. I just wonder, like, there's two ways to state this. I could be what's the word, generous to Ian Puddick and say he thinks Brian is talking nonsense here and this is a reach. The other stuff, maybe, you know, he was caught and laughing about and all this, but whether his boiler business is actually a cover for something else might be a reach. And so he's like, oh, that's a bit weird that you're saying that. Or maybe the other aspect, like being unfair to him, or not unfair, but like being mean to him, being unkind to him, and like not giving him the benefit of the doubt, would be to say that you've hit a bit of a nerve, and it's a painful one that the foolishness aspect is that if I were to admit who's my boss, and if you were to reveal this stuff, then that's going to get us all in big trouble. And like, you know, let's not go there. If we're going to having a truce, like, because we were just shaking hands and having a truce, so now we're going to foolishly start to poke at my business and my cover story and John Wedge, and like, you know, I feel like there's a sort of I don't like this, like, you know, a bit of like, where are we going with this, like on this one. It does give him time, yeah, but like in previous body languages, it's not a baseline by any means, but in previous body languages in this interview, when he's needed that time, he's put his head in his hands, right? But this one is baring the teeth and drawing in breath.
You got to shut down.
And it's a very specific thing. Like Brian has basically said, so like also on top of all this, you're running this business as a cover to shut people down from leaks. And obviously leaks these days, WikiLeaks, you know what we're talking about. So he's like this is a pretty like touchy subject, maybe. Or like the other option is to say that Brian now sounds like he's like actually talking, like if your business is not shady and it's just fine, then like, you know, Brian sounds like this is a bit weird. Like maybe that's the foolishness aspect of it that I was just reading about, but I'd kind of veer the other way. And I also think that Brian might be stating two facts in one here, that like he might be doing that shady behavior, but also the business might be the cover for that. And if you've got good cover, you don't like you don't dirty your cover, do you? So like you don't hire engineers and then get them to go out and do dodgy things, because then you haven't got cover, you've just got a dodgy business. So the cover is the business. It helps you to like launder money, for example, or you know, you have some resources and things. But like when you get up to the dodgy business, you probably don't go around in your work van. Do you know what I mean? Like otherwise it blows your cover for the whole, like if one of your works vans gets spotted, the whole thing is done. I would have thought that it's supposed to be like a clean face, if that makes sense. So maybe there's some combination of Brian's close, but not like Brian's close there, you know. But I do find it a strange one insofar as we've just shaken hands and we've agreed that we're, you know, done with this, and now Brian is bringing up this other aspect. So like he might have thought like he'd got away without discussing this other aspect. So then it might be also, God, I thought I got away with that. Like,
if you're as high up as I think you are, which I think you are, because Wedge has already said about all this plumbing stuff being a cover. You know, we had plumbing and building offices and all that, and yeah, it all looked genuine. You know what I mean? That's what I think this is a part of, Ian. I ain't going to lie to you.
It's such a big conspiracy. It just gets
sounds like it.
And bigger and bigger.
It sounds like it.
For what? For why?
All this nonsense where he's doing this, I don't like, yeah? But it's such a big conspiracy, almost sounded like a factual observation. And like that's one of the problems with this whole thing, isn't it?
What? Well, you're a leak buster.
And then for what? For why? Like, and for what? Like, it deflects. It also deflects. Like, what's your part in it? I'm not asking what's the ultimate aim of the big conspiracy. I'm asking what's your part in. He's blatant. Like, Brian's had things done to him. I'll put inverted commas. I mean, you know, done to him. And like, he's not saying. Brian's not asking him, did the king ask you to do that for this reason or that reason or anything strange like that. He's saying, did you do it? And he's like, well, it's a big conspiracy. Why would anyone ask me to do it? Did you do it? Like, if you did, then we can ask about the whys afterwards, can't we? But Brian doesn't necessarily know all the final higher up answers. He's working towards that by investigating, yeah? But you might not know them either, because you might not be the highest in the food chain in this big conspiracy. You might be a cogwheel in a bigger thing, yeah? So asking this question of why is just like a kind of like a sidestep, isn't it? It's like well, I know we're talking about this, but let's talk about it in a different way that like makes you look a bit more nuts again. Like,
we had plumbing and building offices and all that, and yeah, it all looked genuine. You know what I mean? That's what I think this is a part of, Ian. I ain't gonna lie.
Or to be fair, I suppose you could say he thinks this is not logical, and so he wants Brian to ask this question to himself to see the failure in his own logic, to say, okay, it could be a conspiracy, but why would I be doing a conspiracy? If you can give me a motive, then I can understand your thinking, because I don't have one. But I don't think it comes across like that. I think it comes across as, if you could find my motive, then I'd have to admit to it. But if you don't have my motive, then I'm not going to admit to it, sort of thing.
Right, yeah.
It's such a big conspiracy. It just gets
sounds
bigger
like it.
and bigger and bigger.
It sounds like
For
it.
what? For why? For what?
Well, you're a leak buster, aren't you? You bust leaks. People like me are your leaks.
And again, he sort of gulps here. He takes a moment and stops talking, because for this one, right, it's not that, because he's going to start chipping in and defending it as he goes. If it's not about him, he doesn't talk about it, he just lets it slide by. When it is about him, he chips in and defends, yeah? So if he's just doing leaks and stuff, he could just let Brian talk, because it's just no problem, yeah? But because he keeps chipping in, it makes me worry. And
and bigger and bigger.
It sounds like
for
it.
What? For why? For what?
Well, you're a leak buster.
And he thought he was going to shut it down with for what, for why. You know, why would I be, for what? For why? You know, like, make Brian look crazy. Tell me that the king's after you. Tell me that they're, you know, tell me all this. Like, ask him to go up the chain of conspiracy to say something more strange. But Brian says something quite straightforward, and he thinks, shit, I shouldn't have pushed it here. Like, you know, this question and answer session, I've answered a question he's answered Brian's question with a question, and Brian's answered it very well and very straightforward, and it's put him in a worse situation now. So that was a mistake.
You bust leaks. People like me
find leaks.
are your leaks.
And he's like, shit, yeah, I shouldn't have said that. Now we're talking about this.
People that you got to shut down. You must admit.
So maybe that's the.
It all fits nicely.
There it comes, yeah. Okay, shit. Like, even he knows in this, like, battle of wits that was a mistake that he's just made. And that's the face of someone who's just made a mistake. Yeah? Just touched the hob. Just like, you know, shit. Just walked into that one.
You're a leak buster, aren't you? You bust leaks. People like me.
And it wasn't Brian accusing him of it. It was him asking, tell me why. And Brian says, well, look, here it is written across your truck. Like, do you think in some way he's done that as a sort of cocky, you know, leak busters? Or do you think it is just a stupid thing that he's done that's making him look stupid?
Being a cover-up, you know, we had plumbing and building offices and all that, and yeah, it all looked genuine. You know what I mean? That's what I think this is a part of, Ian. I ain't going to lie to you.
It's such a big conspiracy. It just gets
sounds like it.
And bigger and bigger.
It sounds like it.
For what? For why? For what?
Well, you're a leak buster, aren't you? You bust leaks. People like me are your leaks.
Find leaks, he corrected him with, didn't he? I wonder if there's anything in that. Maybe there's nothing in that. But finding and busting and fixing are all different things. And if I was actually a plumber, I might suggest that I fix the leaks. Because, you know, that's what I'm there to do. Finding the leaks is a different matter. That's ambiguous. That could still be what Brian's talking about, couldn't it? Or it could be that, you know, you turn up on a site and you find, like, if someone's got a leak, you find it, and then, you know, that's part of the job. You get paid, and then if you want us to fix it, it's another, you know, job or whatever. But if I was a boiler specialist and you said, what do you do? I'd, you know, leak buster. And I'd say, yeah, I fix leaks. Like, I'd turn up, there's the thing's leaking, and I fix it. But I find leaks is, again, it's a buffer, isn't it? I don't bust them, I don't fix them, because that would mean I'm doing the thing to the leak. And if it's you, Brian, that's the leak, and I have to fix you, then I physically have to do something to you, don't I? I'm the head cracker. But if I'm not that, if I'm just the finder, if I'm just the man with the information, if I'm just the middleman who finds things, tells people things, then I'm not responsible for what people do with that information. I just find the leaks. You know, I go around with the candle or the smoke and see which pipe is leaking, and then I hand over that information to someone else. I find leaks he was happy to accept.
Like it.
And bigger and bigger.
It sounds like
for
it.
What? For why? For what?
Well, you're a leak buster, aren't you? You bust leaks. People like me are your leaks. I'm the people that you got to shut down. You must admit, it all fits nicely.
I can see how you make that connection, but my engineers are out not looking for people like you. They're looking for holes in pipes.
Yeah, so I wish I believed that. I wish I believed that.
I mean, maybe I'm wrong here, right? Because I don't know about the level of plumbing and what he's doing. Maybe he works on an industrial scale, following pipelines across the country with measurement equipment, literally looking for leaks. So if it, not fixing them, but looking for them, maybe it's that. It says leak and boiler specialist. I don't know.
But if we'll
agree to disagree.
Are we going to?
The hands come out a second time. We'll agree to disagree. And this is interesting because we've already shaken hands once. Yeah. So now he's thought, well, before in the conversation, I was able to end this difficult questioning by just accepting the handshake. Like when he realised that he was down this pipe and the only method of escape was to do the handshake and just get it over with, we did the handshake. This is different. This one is like, can we redo that handshake so you will shut up now? Don't you remember this? Like, this worked a second ago. Will it work again now? Like, will Brian stop talking and just shake my hand and walk away? Like, so he's trying it again. In this, like, obviously every time Brian talks to me, he can't say, hey, let's agree to shake hands and you stop talking. That won't always work. But within this small moment, this time frame here, within this conversation, he's literally just trying it again. Like,
we'll agree to disagree.
Call your minions off.
We'll agree to disagree.
No, I'm serious. Call your minions off, Ian, right? This don't need to carry on no longer. If me and you were spoken now, this will...
And you've got my numbers, I've given it...
This will be...
On camera, looking cool. The call your minions off got a laugh, but no, he didn't say, I'm going to do that then, yes. He didn't accept he had minions. He didn't deny it either, but then I think we're past that now.
The end of it.
Okay.
This will be the end of it.
Promise?
Another handshake.
Right, I promise.
Okay.
I promise. Do you?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, of course. Promise, yeah. Smile on my face, yeah. I just don't trust him as far as I can throw him. I don't trust his handshake whatsoever. So, like, you're as good as your word, you're as good as your bond, you're as good as your handshake. But if he's not, then he's not, is he? So, I think he's looking at this thinking, this is an interesting situation. He's now in a position where he's, the ground has shifted. How is he going to play that to his advantage? It doesn't mean he's going to stop doing what he's doing. It just means he's going to publicly do this. So, a man like this says, yeah, of course, while he's shaking your hand, and you worry about turning your back on him.
Of course.
All right, there you go. We've spoken, and that's what it is now, right? It is what it is now.
And next time it's that.
Yeah,
What's that about?
And that's what it is now, right? It is what it is now.
And next time it's that.
Like, obviously it's a comedic threat of violence, but the threat of violence, like, what next time? What do you mean? Like, I'm not suggesting that he's going to rock up on Brian and start threatening him, but was he, like, implying there that Brian might, be threatening him, like, next time it's that, this is what the bully boy says, they told you once, and next time it's that, has it just popped in his head? Or was that what he was fearing in the first place? The hands have come up as a defensive motion again, like, but semi-aggressive. The idea of violence is in his mind. It's a bit of a strange one, isn't it? If you look at Leakbuster's website, the only reviews listed are high-profile celebs. That's funny. I'm not going to. You can't put the link in the chat because we don't allow websites in the chat. But I can't. I don't think I'm going to. But thanks.
And that's what it is now, right? It is what it is now.
And next time it's that.
Yeah, next time we're just going to kick off in the fucking... anywhere I find him. You weren't expecting me today, would you?
No, when Lee came and said hello, son.
No, he just said he was going into Sainsbury's and that, going to get something to eat. And he saw your van, and he was like, surely it can't be him. I said, have a look and see if it's him. If it's him...
So yeah, he asked about violence because, like, he was worried about the violence, so he made a joke out of it. And Brian, said, yeah, no, we'll kick off, ha. But, like, in the streets of London before the time of mobile phones and everyone filming it and stuff, like, it might have been more of a... I think he was worried that there might have been violence, and so he's brought it up as a sort of semi... Like, it's a conversational joke, but it's a question about, like, how will Brian respond to the joke about violence? Like, just to gauge how much danger he's in next time he runs into Brian if the trolling doesn't stop. Like,
I think he's wrote, subscribe to BHTV on the back of your thing in dirt.
Good.
I love BHTV. I love it. Right, that's the end of it.
People will accuse us of being in a conspiracy now because I'm promoting you on my van.
Yeah, that's it. We'll leave it there. Right, that's the end of it now, Ian.
Okay.
Right? 100%?
100%.
Right, call your minions
100%.
off. Call your minions off. And,
You got my number.
right,
So listen. The only thing I can say, if something
He is quite portly, isn't he? I was questioning whether he's going to get out of the car and all this. He is quite a portly fellow, so
happens, whatever that may be, someone weirdo turns up, ring me and say I've got Joe Bloggs or Sarah Smith or whoever comes at your door. Are they anything to do with you?
Well, I'm gonna
Don't
do
make
that.
videos. Oh, that Ian Smith
no,
and all
no,
that
I've
stuff.
said I won't. You don't mind me posting this
No,
up?
post it.
Right.
Post it.
All right.
Post it. Cheers, Brian. Good luck.
good luck.
Post it.
Right.
Post it.
All right.
Post it. Cheers, Brian. Good luck.
And good luck.
Posting this up?
No, post it.
Right.
Post it.
All right.
Post it. Cheers, Brian. Good luck.
Slightly threatening. Slightly threatening at the end of good luck. Slightly. Like, it's, like he wanted to have the last word in not an aggressive fashion, but in like, you know, a sort of yeah, thanks for that. You know, sort of watch your back. It's not stating watch your back, but good luck. You know, good luck. It didn't seem completely genuine to me, the tone of it. Obviously it wouldn't be.
Cheers, Brian. Good luck.
But Brian's handled that well, I think. Like I said, it's an exercise in rising above it, isn't it? You know, he shook his hand. He's quite prepared to do that. I don't trust Ian Puddick if he was involved in stuff. I mean, I'm careful what I'm saying, aren't I? You know, but like, I don't trust him if he was involved. That handshake means that he's going to stop. And I've said everything I've said based on watching that all the way through it, so I don't need to sort of recap it. Do you? Just heard what I've said. And it might be interesting. Sorry, Pixie Fluff. It might be interesting to look at the website, but I'm tired and I can't be arsed. I assume it's a load of shit. I'm going to say this for YouTube, because I'll probably cut that and put it on YouTube. So if you can't be good, you're naughty. Yeah, that's the end for YouTube. But tonight, what is it? 1:45 a.m. Yeah. I might go back and see what was happening on the live. It's really interesting, that was. It was really interesting. Usually when I do a body language of someone, like, obviously I'm preloaded here. Like, I'm not going to claim not to have a bias. Like, based on what I've seen and heard of certain events. But I've not seen someone so... I could probably say, and I'm saying all this after having done the thing now, I could probably say, you might say that nerves played a part in the smiling. But really, like that was almost like textbook lying and manipulation and sneaking about in the conversation, wasn't it? Like textbook. And the man doesn't do that on camera often, does he? Like, usually the things he's done have been... I don't even know what he's done, but like, you know, if he's written stories or like, you know, it's a different world when you're on camera face to face, isn't it? Like, I hope that Brian feels like he's got it off his chest there, because like what I said, the main point to take away from that for me is that what I said earlier about a fly can sting a fly and a horse is still a horse. Like, sorry, a fly can sting a horse, but a fly is still a fly and a horse is still a horse. Like, he has to look, like, Brian can look at himself in the mirror and say, I told the truth, I know what that man is. And Ian Puddick can look at himself in the mirror and said, I got away with it, but Brian knows what I am. Like, so there's no winning for Ian Puddick there, is there? It's like he kept saying, rock in a hard place. It's a lose-lose. There's no winning for him because he's set himself up to lose by doing lies. So, yeah. So instead he's fallen back on the, like, whatever he's needed to say to get through the conversation, shaking the hand, smile, but he's going to go away from this and say to himself, like, there's a move on the chessboard. Now things have changed slightly. What does this mean I can and can't do and will and won't say? And, you know, it's not, let's put the chessboard away for Ian Puddick, I don't feel. That's what Brian was asking. Can we take the pieces off the board and just put the board away now? And Ian Puddick went, yeah, oh, absolutely, yeah. And if you start taking all your pieces off, then he's going to start moving his forward, isn't he? Like, he's just going to wait and see what happens here for a minute, Ian Puddick is. He's going to wait and see. He'll probably test the water in a few weeks. Like, not immediately, but he'll probably test the water and see what happens. Like, even if he wasn't planning to do anything specifically recently, just bumping into Brian and having had that interaction, he'll go away from it feeling like 1-0 Brian. Like, you know, Brian scored some points here, but the war isn't over yet, I think. Instead of going away and thinking the war is actually now over. I mean, obviously both are options. He could think the other, but yeah. My gut feeling, my instinct is that he's going to seethe over that. You know, he's going to be reliving it. He's probably going to have rewatched it on the video to decide how he comes out. Yeah, of course he's going to do this. He's going to watch this video to see how he comes out. Comments are turned off, so he won't be able to read the comments, and that's going to annoy him because he'll want to know how the audience responded to it. So because of that, he would have had to watch the live. So let's assume there are comments, because comments are turned off, but there's chat on the live, isn't there? So my guess is that he would have watched. He would have watched Brian's. He would watch Brian's conversation about it. I'm going to cut all this onto the YouTube thing now. He would watch Brian's conversation about it, and he would sort of see how he went down in the chat. But he would also think these are Brian's fans, these are Brian's supporters, so they're going to obviously not be into Puddick. But like, maybe he's got some sort of no, he's not. I was going to say maybe he's showing the video to other people and saying, how do you think I came across in this? What's your opinion on that? But he's not going to do that, is he? He's just going to watch it himself and judge for himself. So he would have watched the video and thought how he came across. So I guess if I put what I'm saying now up onto YouTube, he'll watch that and realise he came across really badly. But up until that point, he'll probably think he came across quite well. Like, he'll argue in his own mind that he looked like just an innocent guy doing plumbing, and that bit was a bit bad when Brian said about the plumbing's a cover. He'll probably consider getting a different cover or operating in a slightly different way. You know, maybe the plumbing thing's gone on for too long now. Or maybe it wasn't the plumbing that's the issue. Maybe there's something else that Brian didn't name that he was like, we're coming a bit close there. You know, maybe the plumbing goes on, but the other thing, yeah.
So yeah, that was a random one today. Ian Puddick in Walthamstow. Was not expecting that. But Lee was in Sainsbury's, and as it happens, Nicky wanted to go to Sainsbury's and that anyway.
I think Brian is going to be absolutely switched on to the idea that because Ian Puddick shook his hand and smiled at him doesn't mean that that's over then. He's still going to be on guard. And I also think there's a celebratory atmosphere about this because they caught him out, and you know, they're basking in that sense of victory, I suppose. Like, it's just, whether in the long term it's the final victory or whatever, it's a you know, it's a little win, this, isn't it? Brian's got his new kitchen, tick box win. Feeling good about things, tick box win. Bumped into Puddick, acted like a man. Brian didn't lower himself, didn't, you know, start slamming the car door and acting a tantrum. Brian came out of that really well, and hopefully in himself will feel, even if there's still some percent of worry that Puddick won't stop, like in himself hopefully he can feel like that he's done his absolute best and behaved with honour, called him out to his face. I mean, what more can you do? Like, you know, he should feel good about this, and relief, whether permanent, you know, this is good that he feels like this. I feel happy with that, yeah. I'm not judging I'm not doing a body language on Brian here now, I'm just saying that, you know.
So Lee called us and said, yeah, we're only round the corner. So I couldn't believe it, really. What's the chances of that? And there he was. Obviously, certain trolls out there can be like, yeah, it's all set up and that. It weren't. You can hear the phone call on the beginning of the video. Go back and rewind it. That's Lee telling me that he was there. I wasn't going to go because Nikki was going to go to Sainsbury's on her own anyway. And I thought, no, I can't pass this opportunity up if he's going to be there. because there's things that I need to say to his face, and I still didn't really get to say
I have no doubt in my mind this was a genuine interaction.
everything that I wanted to say to him. But there you go. There he was. I put it on him. He's never going to admit it, but at the end of the day, I believe he did set me up, and I told him to his face, and he did get me arrested. There was loads of things really that, you know, because it's so random, you're not really prepared, but everything that I thought has been put together on many videos, which you've all seen many times over. But it was like, it's 11 years later, and it's like, for fuck's sake, man, you know, something's got to give here. He's never going to turn around and admit that he set me up. I stand by that. He knew who he was buying the Ninja for, and by saying that he bought it for Bill was a perfect...
I think even if Ian Puddick takes this opportunity to now poke at Brian, having said, well, call me up, it's not me, you know, and to continue to play the childish antics, the process that Brian's been through, he will just not see it in the same way. It's not 10 years ago, so if you do it again to me now, I'm not going to react in the same way. I've learned, like, not me, but, you know, Brian, all of us, like, you know, Brian's learned from this, so Ian Puddick might still be sat in the same place, might still do the same things again, and if he does, Brian won't respond in the same way. Brian will have moved above it, so it just simply will, like, sigh and just, like, go through the process, but without the same reaction. And it's that reaction and that, like, getting to him that they're concerned about. So I think this is really good, because I think there might be, you know, my gut feeling is that if Ian Puddick tries a sort of test of the water, that Brian Harvey won't respond in the way he expects, and then that might set him back with his next idea of poking even harder. So yeah, this is really healthy from Brian, I think. Exactly what I was saying about having moved on and, like, you know, risen above it. That's going to bear out in his actual behaviour in his life, and it won't. When you do that, like, sometimes those people that you've moved on from still want to pick at you and tear at you a bit, but you just don't care because you've moved on. You know, like, it's not as raw anymore. It doesn't matter. You've, like, gone through that process. Like I said, you've learned. So I think Brian's in a really good, strong position here. Out
for him, because he did give it to Bill to give to me, but he's making it sound like, no, I bought it for Bill, and that's simply not true. It's not true. But I've seen him. That's the first time I've met him, by the way. It's the first time me and him have stood in the same space. It's the first time. And
he didn't stand.
I weren't aggressive.
You didn't. You weren't. Brian's right. He didn't. But Ian Puddick didn't get out of the car. Did he? Didn't stand. I agree. You weren't aggressive.
He probably would have thought that I would have been.
Yeah.
The weed might have been making me a little bit more aggressive in the past, but obviously I'm not smoking weed now, so, you know, maybe that's made me a little bit calmer. I don't know. But I'm glad I saw him, and I'm glad I've seen him face to face, because it hadn't happened yet. And like I say, it's 11 years later, and it needed doing. It needed doing. I still want to confront the others. I still want to confront Bill Maloney. He did say on the thing there that he didn't know where Bill Maloney was, but then can arrange me to talk to him. He said that Bill Maloney has now got dementia. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. I don't know. Apparently they saw each other at Chris Fay's funeral.
If he has, then that would be a huge worry for anyone that conspired with Bill Maloney, because Bill Maloney may drop information without realising it. So,
which I did see a couple of the posts up online about Chris Fay passing away, and yeah, I'm glad I saw him, because nothing will ever change my mind. And the thing is if he admitted it, then he could be arrested, you know. But I just needed to see him face to face. I'm glad I took that opportunity, and to tell him face to face. And he can't turn around and say, oh, you know, he was violent and he was on loads of drugs or anything like that, because it's simply not true. You know, like when I went and met the other bloke outside the
He
BBC.
did try to make you look like you were crazy at one point by saying about conspiracies, but
I've seen a few of his videos and that going, oh, Brian Harvey's different off camera. That's because I was being nice to you, you fool. You know what I mean? I was trying to be nice to you, because had I come down a couple of days prior to that, it would have went completely different. And I'm not stupid, you know. I know you want to wind me up to the point where I come down and you can get me arrested. And this guy has tried to get me arrested. Well, I'm not saying his name, I'm not giving him no promotion. I know you're sitting there and you're watching now, yeah? Trying to get me arrested. So you're like, yeah, I brought down Brian Harvey, I done that. Well, you're looking to bring down the wrong people, ain't you? And what did you say? Ain't confronted PUDDICK? Well, I have now. Well, I have now. And I choose to be the better person. I've said what I need to say to him to his face. He's seen all the videos. He knows what I think. Right? And I've been the better person. I didn't get the I put my point across and I've told him. He still looked a little bit smug within his, you know, fingers crossed and all that.
he squirmed. He squirmed, didn't he? Smug and all that, squirmed. But yeah, we all know the truth. And this is exactly like, you know, Brian's exactly right there. So
He does like to make a joke out of everything, and to be honest with you, what they done to me ain't no joke, because like I said to him, I could have gone to prison for a long time had that have gone how they wanted it to. But again, I'm a Christian, right? And if someone talks to me properly, and I've said what I need to say to him, then I've got to find it in myself to put an end to things. Otherwise, this is just going to go on for another 11 years. There's other people to confront still, and I'll confront them in the same way.
So, I'm really happy with Brian there. I think that he's done exactly what he said there at the end. He's exactly right. I've said it all now. It concerns me that I agree with Brian's morality. I worry that Ian Puddick just doesn't, so therefore won't follow those sort of social rules. But I don't, like I said, I don't think it will matter, because once you've gone through the process, the trying to drag you back into the same old place doesn't work again. So I think Brian's in a really healthy position there. Good on him. Good on him. So I will cut that for YouTube there. That will be the end of what I'm saying about Brian tonight. For YouTube. You be good, YouTube, and if you can't be good, you're naughty. Yeah.